That sounded horrible on stream.
Did it really?
The Boopcast sound was it kind of like doubled, so it was slightly out of sync.
I know why it doubled. Remind me to fix that later.
Okay.
It's set to monitor and output. That's why it doubled.
Okay.
My bad. Welcome to the Boopcast number 29, season 3,
Yay.
episode 1. It's season 3 of the Boopcast. Oh,
that seems weird.
we're so old. Hi everybody. Sorry.
Hi.
First of all, for being more than an hour late. My alarm didn't go off, and I was up until 2:30 this morning finishing the overlay for you guys because Imperial Dawn was working on the art for me yesterday, last minute. And you can go check him out if you don't know who Imperial Dawn is. He's a very talented RWBY artist, and he made this background for us, which is super pretty.
It's very pretty.
So I was up quite late finishing that off, and yeah, my alarm just didn't go off and I didn't wake up. So my dad comes in at like 10:30. He's like, "Were you supposed to do a podcast this morning?" I was like, "Fuck." And then on top of
text you.
yes,
like,
she did.
Hey.
I looked at my phone. I was like, I have 17 messages. Oh my god. And on top of that, we had technical problems because Streamlabs OBS decided to update again this morning, despite updating last night. And
literally, we made sure everything was perfect to go for the stream 8 hours ago.
It was working at 2:30 this morning, and now nothing was working. So the overlays were okay, but the wrong overlay was in this screen, and it wasn't. Window capture is not working anymore. So I had to switch to display capture, which thankfully is not lagging. Knock on wood.
Yeah, exactly.
So here we are. Another year of the Boopcast. I have to also apologize formally for not doing a Boopcast until now.
Yeah.
So sorry. Listen, I wanted to get a new overlay ready for you guys before we did a new Boopcast because I didn't want to start a new season on the old overlay and then switch in the middle because that's disgusting. I had an overlay ready to go, but I wasn't happy with it. So last week when I was on the corner of Remnant, Dawn said he would give me a hand. So he made this for us, which is beautiful, and I'm happy. It's so pretty.
So pretty.
It's so pretty. So, let me run you down how this is going to work for this season. Basically, we will be answering all of your questions at the end. You will be able to redeem questions through my Streamlabs menu. Please don't redeem them during the stream until I ask for you to redeem them. It's off at the moment anyway, so you actually won't be able to. Haha. And there will be an opportunity in the last 15 minutes or so to ask questions through redeeming them through that menu. So they will pop up on the stream and we can read them out. Tech issues, yeah. Well,
I mean, it's a Boopcast. We always have tech issues.
It wouldn't be a Boopcast if we didn't have tech issues and weren't on time.
Oh. I mean, I wasn't expecting to be on time, but
we're never on time.
I wasn't expecting to be an hour and a half late.
Sorry! Okay, it's mostly my fault, but it's partially Sub's fault.
Yeah.
It's mostly my phone's fault. I blame my phone. So yeah, I will enable those questions for you at the end of the stream. So hang around if you have a burning question to ask. You can also ask questions offline on the Discord, but they just won't be read out on the podcast. So the only way to get your question answered on the podcast is to use the Streamlabs menu to redeem one. Okay, we all cool with that? Let's talk about RWBY, because that's why we're here.
Well, also, we should probably address the fact that this podcast is also, besides being late today, just is late in general.
It's late in general.
In that episode 2 is already out and we have both watched it, but we will not be discussing it.
There will be no discussion of Volume 6, Chapter 2 in this podcast. There will be no discussion in the chat. This is your only warning. If you post spoilers from Chapter 2, you will be banned, and I'm not joking about that. No exceptions, no second chances. So please do not post spoilers about Chapter 2 in the chat. for this year, I had no questions, including for this volume, despite it's so early in the season. So, Chapter 2 is currently only out for first members, and that's why I don't want any discussion happening in this podcast. We're going to keep the podcasts on topic for the chapter that we're talking about. Obviously, we've both seen Chapter 2, so making predictions is going to be a little tricky because we know what happens in Chapter 2. But
I took my notes before I watched Chapter 2, and so I have my predictions at the time, even though a lot of my predictions I do know answers to.
Yeah.
But we won't be addressing that part.
No. I know what my predictions were because I talked about them on the Corner Remnant last week, so I'm just going to stick to that. And try not to bring in bias from what I now know. So RWBY, Volume 6 has premiered. We are late. We know this.
Yeah.
I just really wanted to get this overlay done in time for a Boopcast. And also last Saturday I was still in Hobart and I was on the Corner Remnant. So we weren't able to do one last Saturday. Ordinarily though, the Boopcast will be live streamed on my Twitch every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. Australian Central Daylight Time, which for many of you will be a Friday night.
Friday evening, yeah.
Friday evening, yeah. So you can check what time the Boopcast premieres. Probably later I will update the thing under the stream that has my stream times in your local time zone. So it'll be there.
Well, it's isn't it currently there? Because we do have one coming up in 3 days.
I don't know, Cory. Let me check.
Yeah, it looks like because it's be 3 p.m. for me on Fridays.
Let's see. Is there 2 streams on a Saturday? Because then it should be there.
Yeah.
Yep, okay, it's there now. So 8:30 a.m. by time. So whatever time that is in your local time zone, it will say on the counter under the stream. Okay, all that shit out of the way. Let's talk about Chapter 1, because this was a pretty fucking good premiere.
Really, I mean, so strong.
Yeah, awesome first episode, Gold says. Definitely. Very awesome. I was just reading what Larissa says. She says, hey, and I don't know what she's saying that about. Anywho. Okay, so please refrain from asking questions in the chat. If you have questions, save them until the end. We will answer all of your questions. And also, the reason leaving questions till the end now is because we might answer them while we're talking about the episode. So
yeah, exactly.
We don't want to talk about things twice. Because we're trying to keep on a 2-hour frame here, because from now on we're going to be streaming right before the Corner Remnant, so we'd rather not overlap them if we can help it.
Yeah.
So 2 hours is what we got, so we're going to try and stick to that. We don't have a great track record with sticking to our time, so we'll see how we go.
Especially once we start adding guests in again, it's going to be crazy.
We don't have guests scheduled for the entire season. I am going to do that today. But I have 2 people in mind for the Saturday podcast, so hopefully that will work. I'm not going to say who they are, obviously. And I know many of you have been asking for a long time for Murder of Birds to be on the Boopcast. Dude is very busy. And also, we now stream at the same time as him on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, that's just not going to be a thing that happens. He has expressed that he would love to be on the Boopcast. It's just that he just is so busy during RWBY season. So, maybe on an off-season podcast in the future, an interview might be a thing. But for now, it's just not going to be possible. So, he's as bummed as we are, but you know, that's the way it has to be, unfortunately. He's got his own shit to work out. Yeah,
exactly.
You guys are normally running late anyways. That is true. So but we will try to stick to the 2-hour time frame. So yeah. Chapter 1. I'm gonna say that it's probably the best premiere objectively of any RWBY premiere. But the food fight will always be my favorite. I don't think anything's ever going to top the food fight, just because it's Monty and it's a fucking food fight in a cafeteria. It's amazing.
Plus, also, it was the first time I feel like we really saw RWBY how Monty wanted us to really see RWBY.
Yeah.
It was like the first time we all saw RWBY beyond you know, what was kind of shit in season 1.
Oh my god, I was watching Volume 2, Chapter 2 the other day. I told Cory this. And I was watching it and I was like, this animation is awful. It's terrible! This show looks like crap! It looks like a completely different show now. And I'm like, I remember when Volume 2 came out, how much we were all fussing over how much better it looked than Volume 1. And I'm like, Volume 6.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh my gosh, Volume 6 has been just so immaculate so far. There have been issues. I'm not going to say there's not issues, because there's always issues, but we'll talk about them today. Hey, kitten, send in the white roses, please don't. As much as I love Ruby and Weiss, not in that context. So I guess we should start at the beginning. That would make the most sense. Cory has notes. I don't, so I'm going to go off memory here.
Well, the episode starts with the RWBY fight on top of the train, but then cuts back.
I like how it started with the snowy shots that we saw in the trailer. And then Rooster Teeth presents an original, you know, blah, blah, blah. Which I don't think they've done in other volumes, that sort of opening title card thing. Did they do that in Volume 5? I don't know if they did.
I don't know, because they did have that long walk down that like dark corridor at the start.
No, it just started. It was black. Yeah, when it started, that's right, and it faded straight into the episode.
Yes, I don't think they did.
So this is the first time they've done title cards, I think.
Unless they did something when there was that one shot where it pulled back, but no. I don't remember.
No, I think it just went straight into the episode. Yeah. No worries, Larissa. Thanks for hanging out. Sorry we were so late. Slow burn only. Oh god. I'm gonna stop reading the chat now. I need to focus. And then it's just, I love the way this episode threw us straight in the action. And it actually did what I had a feeling it would do. It threw us in the action, and then it went, 12 hours beforehand, this is what happened. Without actually saying that in so many words. Because RWBY loves to not give us a timeline. Yeah.
I actually, based on some things I have to say later, I'm very frustrated with the fact it doesn't give us the timeline.
Well, it does. They do tell us that it's been 2 weeks since the attack on Haven, and that makes more sense after watching Chapter 2. But we're not gonna talk about Chapter 2. We're not gonna talk
about that.
So it's very frustrating not being able to talk about Chapter 2. Let me tell you, Saturday's podcast, don't miss it, because holy fuck, Chapter 2, and we need to talk about it. But Chapter 1, getting back on topic. Hi, Theroden, welcome to the stream. This was a very action-packed premiere, and I love the way it threw us straight into the fight and kind of made us find our sea legs, and we're like, good god, RWBY, okay. I felt like it was a huge contrast to Volume 5's premiere, because Volume 5's premiere was very slow in comparison.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time watching Volume 5, Chapter 1, I didn't actually like it. When I finished watching it, I just felt the style change was really jarring. But the second and third time I watched it, it made a little more sense once I got over how jarring it was. But this premiere, I was like, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that Team RWBY is back together, but it feels like RWBY back in Volume 3. It just like, I'm like, it's back to how RWBY used to be. Almost. Yeah. To a degree. Obviously a lot's changed in the last couple of volumes, and a lot's changed about the girls, a lot's changed about the situation, but it is still Team RWBY back together kicking ass during a premiere. So I loved that it's kind of starting to go back to how it was, but at the same time taking massive strides to improve. When it hasn't ever given a timeline between Volumes 3 and 4. Who the fuck knows how long it was between Volumes 3 and 4, because that timeline's all over the place. Freaking, I don't know where, like, how long it had been for Weiss, and, like, had she literally stayed in her room for 4 months straight? Anyway. Just so annoying.
Yeah.
But, so the fight on top of the train, it was awesome to see, like, the partners, RWBY and Weiss and Blake and Yang sort of working together and banting with each other. And, Oscar screaming tunnel might be my favorite thing about this entire episode. Tunnel! I heard it straight away because I did my reaction with Larissa. I was like, was that Oscar? But yeah, I love the way they did that, and then later they showed us a different side of the fight to sort of reorient us, and you know.
Yeah. And it was smart of them to do it that way too, because we got to see the action and what was happening there. But then like cut to this other shot where like now there's an established character who we met in between, and like there's other important story bits happening with Oscar on the other end. It's like, okay, we'll show them those then, but let's start with the cool fighting so we don't have to like choose which to do.
It's the best way to do something like this. Is because it keeps us engaged, and it keeps us oriented as to where things are within a scene, and it also doesn't interrupt the action, because if they had just done it all chronologically, it just wouldn't have worked as well. And I don't really remember what happens in this first bit, actually. It's kind of all a blur.
I mean, it's just lots of fighting. This is the thank me later.
Yeah, thank you later.
They were doing that a bunch, and then
oh yeah, the Ruby Weiss spin thing. How could I forget about that? Because that was amazing. That was in the trailer, and I just about lost my shit at that. Because I love watching Ruby use her semblance with other people for some reason. It just tickles my fangirl bone, which sounds a bit weird. But you know,
I just also like to imagine the way that is, that like Ruby's really used to how her speed feels, but I just imagine Weiss being like, I'm gonna hurl.
Oh my god, yeah, I'm gonna throw up. Oh my god. It's like Volume 3 and Volume 4 had a baby action and story-wise. That's very true. The action has come a very long way since Volume 3, however. The fight scene at the end on top of the train was just really, really good.
I know, right?
Going to ghost off for now. No worries, kitten. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, so it kind of takes us out of the action there and goes back to the train station, which is the scene we all knew was going to be in. It was in the trailer. And then we get to hear Crow sort of telling us, you know, it's been 2 weeks, and he's sending a letter to James Ironwood explaining the report that Ozpin made about the events of the Haven Academy attack. I hate that Lionheart got off easy with with like them just saying, "Oh, he lost his life defending his school." I'm like, bitch, how dare you? Because
but that's the other thing is, can you imagine that like with all the progress of like Gira Belladonna's forces coming to save them, but then like this other Faunus in power betrayed him and was responsible for the attack on his own school.
Yeah.
Like that would have, and plus also that would have just spread more distrust and everything, and we don't need that.
I understand why they decided to withhold that information, but it pisses me off that he didn't see any repercussions for what he did, really. Sure, he died, but like it wasn't punishment for what he did. It was just Salem being a bitch. Like,
I mean, true.
He was a coward anyway, but, you know, like, I just hate that he didn't face any actual consequences for the things that he did, because I think everybody forgets exactly how much bad Leo did. Like,
yeah, because it was kind of a throwaway line.
Killed, and that's like, Jesus, they didn't even have anything to do with any of it, and they're all dead now.
Yeah. I mean, because he's not only responsible for the attack on his school, he's responsible for the attack on Vale as well.
Yeah, he's responsible for all of it, because he got them passage into the Vital Festival tournament by lying to everybody. So, yeah, he was a piece of shit, and he did get what he deserved, but not to the extent that he deserved it.
Yeah.
How can you punish a dead boy? Exactly. But, yeah, so I understand why they decided to withhold that information, because they'd rather not, at a time of very fragile relations between kingdoms and Faunus especially, they'd rather not sow more negativity and mistrust. And obviously Gira Belladonna and the militia group coming into Safe Haven Academy has had a big impact on Mistral's relations with Faunus, so that's a really good thing. And yeah, we hear a little bit about that from Blake.
Although I am still curious. I'm kind of disappointed that we're leaving Mistral, as it's like, ooh, but I would actually like to see, like, what does racist barkeep guy think about these Faunus saving their kingdom and stuff, and like, you know, like we're not gonna get to actually really see the racist people how they felt about this.
No,
most likely. I mean, we might because we are still technically in Mistral.
Yeah. Technically, we haven't left the continent, so
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But I mean, Ilya and Blake and Sun were able to walk around freely, more or less, without being harassed. So I guess that's an improvement. But I love this train station scene because RWBY is adorable in this scene.
I mean, you are forgetting there was an Adam scene in the middle here.
Oh yeah. Do you know why I forget about the Adam scene? Because it's fucking pointless. Stupid scene, and I hate Adam so much.
I know.
It's literally Adam throwing a temper tantrum. I'm like, okay, yeah, right, can we get back to Team RWBY now, please? Like, I couldn't care less about this. So, Adam returns to the White Fang. I have to mention this. Because I watch Hammer Time's crack videos.
I was going to mention this too.
And Hammer Time mentioned in their crack video that, I think it was specifically LOL, Adam went back to pick up his stupid mask, like, after the character short. He ditched his mask at the end of the character short, which was definitely at the end of Volume 5, and he's wearing it in this scene. And I'm like, Bish, really? You, like, threw it away and then went back for it?
Yeah. I honestly, that scene single-handedly ruined the Adam character short for me.
The Adam character short was
because I'm like, it was pointless.
It was pointless. It didn't tell us anything we didn't already know. It literally showed us everything we already knew, and then added that scene of him throwing his mask away, only to completely discount that at the beginning of Volume 6. I'm like, okay, so why did we have the character short again? Like, it literally has no point now. Not even for that last little bit. That has no point.
Yeah, because that was the only thing about it that I was like, that'll be important, is it's teasing us that Adam's removing his mask and blah, blah, blah. And then he has it on in literally the second scene of the premiere. And he has it back on. And I'm like, well, that was pointless.
Pishin says, it does work for Blake's hallucination scenes on Impact. No, what works for Blake's hallucination scene is the Black trailer. It's literally drawing a parallel to the Black trailer. That's all it is. Everybody could see that was Adam and she was hallucinating it. So the Adam character short was pointless. Case in point.
Yeah.
Adam is just, ugh. Just, ugh. I could have done without this 30-second or so scene of him just throwing a tantrum.
Especially the other thing is we saw this scene in the trailer. Yeah. And, like, the tiny 2-second bit of it we saw in the trailer honestly was sufficient for that scene.
Yeah, I know. Like, I said this to Larissa. I said, the scene could have been as long as it was in the trailer and it would still be too long. Like, seriously. I'm so over Adam. I really hope he dies this volume. That's my big prediction. Adam death, please. I want Yang and Blake to murder him.
That's the only reason I could foreseeably, like, maybe forgive the Adam character short is if this is Adam dies in this volume, because otherwise there's no point.
Oh, honestly,
there was no point for it.
I'm mad at the Adam character short, and let me tell you why. Because it made me worried for Volume 6 when I had no reason to worry, because Volume 6 is amazing so far. We've only had 2 chapters, but they were incredible chapters. It could have been one shot and he screams his head off out of rage. Exactly. And, like, that would have been like us, okay, Adam's having a fit in the White Fang hole, that's fine. Like, we know that's going on. Yeah, I just hate him so much.
Theoden says that the scene shows the White Fang members turned on him. It's like, they could have done that differently if they wanted to show that he'd lost his support there. And even then, like, it was already kind of inferred that the Mistral faction had been all either killed or arrested at Fall of Haven. So,
and Ilya literally said that in the finale of Volume 5. She was like, no one's going to support him now because he ran away.
Exactly. Like the scene to show that the White Fang members had turned on him was pointless. Like
It was pointless.
they could have just shown us the dead bodies and him cutting up his throne. The two scenes we saw in the trailer made it last like 5 seconds, and it would have been fine.
I also
and it would have got the same message across.
I don't think the scene should have been in the premiere. I think it should have been elsewhere, like maybe in chapter 3. I don't think it should have been in the first chapter at all.
Yeah.
But you know, what can you do? It's literally like every viewing since the first viewing, I have skipped that scene. I've been like, bye Felicia. I don't even want to analyze the scene. There's nothing to analyze. Like,
yeah,
get out of here, Adam. Let's get to the important stuff. Like the gift shop bag, for example. What is in that gift bag? Is the big question. Because I know Larissa wants to know really badly what's in it, but unfortunately, I'm not sure if we're going to get to see it again now, because the girls do have all of their stuff, because it was apparently in the back train cars, but, you know, they've got all their weapons, they've got all their stuff, but what happened to the gift shop bag? I want to know what RWBY got Yang.
I know, I do too. That's in my notes. What's in the bag?
What's in the bag? I don't know. I was trying to think of, like, anything at all, but I'm like, I'm stumped. I don't know.
Yeah, like, what could you get in a train station for your sister? I'm like, I don't know. She got her a snow globe.
I also think that it could also be an airship station as well as train station, because some of the locations that were on the list for travel services were not places that you could get to by train. Like Shion Village, for example. There's no train lines near Shion, because there's no trains through Central Anima. So they wouldn't be able to take trains through Central Anima. They would just get attacked by Grimm.
Yeah, I was also confused as to why there was one to Vale.
Glitter for her arm.
Glitter for her.
I am hoping that we'll see some arm upgrades in the future, but...
The only thing that I can do to forgive that is if it isn't a train station and it's just like a transport depot.
Yeah.
And like they also take airships out of there.
Yeah, I was thinking
Pishin just said
like
that.
a transport hub. Exactly, Pishin. Yeah.
Because the other thing was Vale was on that list, and they can't take trains across the ocean, or can they?
Isn't Vale's continent and Anima connected though?
Nope, that's Vacuo.
That's Vacuo. Sorry, my bad. I always think it's the other way around, that Anima's connected to it. No, they're not.
What's the name of that continent? Is that one Solitas?
No, Solitas is where Atlas is. I don't know what the other continent's called. I'm sorry.
I always forget that one.
Google quickly. Keep talking while I Google. RWBY Wiki.
Wow. I also loved Ruby's line of, "What's with all the standing?
What's with the standing?" She's so cute.
I know, she's so adorable. Pishin said no, they're not. Remember, Yang needs to take a boat.
The continent with Vale and Vacuo is called Sanus.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The Pishin misspelled it, it's sinus.
Nope.
Oh man, so many allergies here.
Trust me, it has nothing to do with your nose. Yang needed to take a boat. Yeah, she did. That's right. But they didn't show Team Ranger taking a boat, so that's why it like confuses me as to how they got there walking. But I forget that there's ocean between Anima and Sanus, so I'm like, because they didn't show that bit until we got up to Yang actually going there, and I was like, oh, she's on a boat. Why? But yeah, anywho. So, transport hub, most likely.
Yeah.
I loved RWBY and Junior. I was going to say RWBY, but Blake's not there. RWBY and Junior interacting in this scene. It's so good to see all of them back together. Even though we got quite a bit of that in Volume 5. It's just like...
Yeah.
For some reason, the vibe's really different now. And also knowing that we were going to lose them, because after watching the trailer, we had seen, you know, Team RWBY in the snow by themselves, and we're like, we're going to lose Junior straight away. And, like, knowing that we were going to lose Junior, it was kind of like having these moments was really needed before we lost them completely. I hope they don't just disappear now, but...
I don't think we'll see them for most of the volume.
It better not be most of the volume. I'll be pissed. Like, I hate when they do that, especially with characters like Jean, Nora, and Ren, who we have spent a couple of volumes with. I'm like, if they disappear for 8 episodes now, I'm gonna be pissed. Like, don't do that to me. They're just as important as Team RWBY.
But the thing is I'm like, at this point, what can they do? Like, they're just going to be sitting at the train station being like, well, wait for RWBY to show up.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll just wait for the girls. Goodness sake.
Let's go find a beach.
Update every 3 or 4 episodes. Honestly, I would be happy with, like, a 30-second scene in, like, chapter 3 or 4 just to tell us how they're doing. I'd be like, okay, they're alright. They're in Argus. They're just waiting. Like, please tell me we're not going to not see them now for ages until Team RWBY gets their butts up there. Yeah, so, you know, whatever. But, I loved
Did you think it was... I was literally about to talk about that scene. Did you think it was weird that, like, Nora's talking about beach season, meanwhile Weiss is sitting 2 feet away in tights and a scarf?
Yeah, Nora... Well, I just chalked that down to Nora's an idiot, but, you know. We love her, but God, she's an idiot. But I loved Ren, like, imagining himself with the beach ball, and then it pans down and the beach ball pops and he's like, no. 'Cause it's just, like, I love those little, like, anime-esque sort of things, and we didn't get enough of that in Volume 5, because there just wasn't a lot of room for it, unfortunately. But, the tone is
It was also a fairly serious for a volume.
Very serious volume. I think the tone has shifted a little bit in Volume 6 now. It's still serious and there's still a lot of heavy crap going on, but it's definitely more lighthearted than it was last volume. And again, I feel like it's going back to how it was before, and they're sort of revisiting the old formula a little bit, because the old formula did work. Rule 1: you don't end on cliffhangers.
I also kind of feel like we're, like, on this, like, tipping scale where it's like, okay, a really intense thing just happened, so we're going to set up for the next intense thing, but while we do that, here's some fun moments, and then and we're back to the intense moment, and something's about to happen.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So,
every episode of RWBY lately has been an emotional roller coaster. Like, we just, like, every emotion in a single chapter, and, like, especially with Volume 5, because Volume 5, there are a lot of tears going on. There are a lot of, like, happy tears happening. I know.
How many times did we cry? 5?
My reactions to Volume 5 and just the thumbnails. I was like, I'm crying in that one, I'm crying in that one, I'm crying in that one. Like, all the reunions that were going on, and then the finale as well. 4 instances of tears in Volume 5, I think. Which is...
And 1 instance of pure unadulterated rage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 5 instances of tears. I was raging and crying when that happened, so chapter 11, let's not go there.
I know, trauma.
Trauma. Poor Weiss. She seems to be relatively unaffected by that, and some people were, like, hoping for Weiss, like, PTSD, like we saw with Yang when she lost her arm, but the difference is Weiss isn't Yang. Weiss, her whole life, she has been beat down by people, and Weiss is the kind of person who just gets back up and deals with it. Whereas Yang had never really been beaten down by anyone before. She'd never been defeated. She'd always been the one who defeated everyone else. So, of course, what happened to her affected her very deeply. But Weiss, I feel like not that she just brushes it off, but she isn't unaccustomed to physical and emotional trauma. So, yeah, they're different people, so of course they're going to take something like that differently.
Plus, also, her wound was healed, like, instantly. Like, she had enough time. She only had, like, 5 seconds to, like, understand her wound, and then she woke up with Jean standing over her, healing her.
She passed out immediately, so I doubt she even really has much memory of what happened.
Yeah, she doesn't. I doubt she remembers the trauma very much, and even then, she was right back into fighting as soon as she could. Like, exactly. It isn't like she didn't lose a part of herself like Yang did.
No, she didn't have any real, like, physical reminder of what had happened like Yang did. Like, Yang lost a friggin' arm, so of course it was always there reminding her of what had happened. I think if Weiss were to see Cinder again, it might trigger something. She might be a little bit like, ugh. But again, Weiss and Yang are different people, so.
But here's the other thing. Do you think she even, like, understood that Cinder was the one that attacked her?
No, well, she wouldn't have at the time, but obviously the team would have told her what happened.
Yeah.
But, yeah, at the time, she was fighting Vanal when that happened, but Vanal's dead now.
And that bitch is dead.
Yeah, she did. She very did. Another wasted character, yay.
Yeah, I know.
But
speaking of wasted characters, Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Yes, wasted character. Well, I mean, are we that sad about it, really? I understand why they were there, because Tweedledum had some importance to the fight on top of the train, but oh my god, they just made me roll my eyes so hard.
I was actually on subsequent viewings of the episode, I was really frustrated with them, because I'm like, I'm supposed to believe that these people went to 4 years of combat school. Well, I mean, went to 4 years of combat school, then went on to a huntsman academy.
Yep.
And this is all they've got?
Yeah.
They don't have semblances. They are terrified of Grimm.
Annoying.
Like,
it's so annoying, Cory. And every single time that there's a huntsman appears in the story, they are useless. And I'm like, they should be as good, if not better, than all of Team RWBY. And they should be somewhere close towards Crow's level, but Crow is a badass, so let's not even, like... But they are useless! And I'm like, really?
And the thing is like, I don't need them to have, like, elaborate designs and elaborate weapons. Like, if Tweedledee had just been, like, a little more better at fighting, had, like, maybe taken a couple Grimm with him, would have been okay, but, like, you know, they're just useless and scared, like and
these I feel like these are examples of huntsmen who graduated and never saw a Grimm after that. And then, like, they've just gotten too comfortable in their jobs, and because the minute D goes out, he just gets eliminated, and I'm like, really? Really?
Yeah.
That's all you got? 8 years of combat school. There you go. That's all you got. Okay, sure.
Like, I would have understood more if they hadn't called them huntsmen. Like, if they had called them something else.
Bodyguards or some shit. I don't know.
Bodyguards or something else. But, like, because they called them huntsmen, I was like, these are first-year students in front of you, and they're better than you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first-year students that have seen a lot of action since leaving their school.
I know, but still, like, can you imagine Tweedledee and Tweedledum would have died in the Emerald Forest?
Technically, they would be second-year students by now as well. But...
They would, but yeah.
Third year. Almost third year, I think, maybe. How much time has passed? We don't know! Give us a fucking timeline, please! We're dying out here! We don't know how old people are! It's so annoying! Is RWBY 16 or is she 17 now? I don't know! All I know is her birthday's on October 31st. Oh, happy birthday, RWBY, by the way, for October 31st. Yeah. Let's see one of them let their guard down for 2 seconds. The other refused to deactivate the turrets. Yeah, it's like they don't know anything about Grimm, regardless of having studied them for 8 years. Again,
yeah,
it's a problem. Yeah, I just chalk that down to just bad writing.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say, that just seems like that was just like poor writing, or I don't know, or who knows? Maybe they aren't even huntsmen, and they are were trying to say they were huntsmen to try to swindle these people into paying them.
Could be true,
but like, I don't know. Even then, do these people not do background checks on the people they hire to protect their?
Who fucking knows?
Yeah, so that was just something that really frustrated me, where I was like, ugh, why are they huntsmen?
They're not. Spoiler alert.
Exactly.
I'm sitting way too far away. I need to move closer. Yeah, so anyway, D gets eliminated straight away. These guys are obviously based off of Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. The only way we'll see good huntsmen when they are main characters. Exactly, but it's annoying. Like,
it is annoying.
It's very annoying, and it's just, you know, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So what happens after that?
And that's the other thing is, if they'd explained it away in such a way that, like, we know that last volume that Leo was, like, killing off huntsmen in hordes. Like, the huntsman population of Mistral right now is
abysmal,
real low. So it's like, especially then it makes me confused, like, would they really be sparing huntsmen for, like, train guarding and not, like, border defense?
I don't know.
It's just, this is an instance where I'm like, I hate that they called them huntsmen. They should have just called them bodyguards or, train cowboys or something.
Train cowboys. You're such a redneck.
I've been playing too much Red Dead is what it is.
Oh, yes. We haven't seen Glinda Goodwitch for a while. I hope we see her this season. No, we will not see Glinda Goodwitch again. Obviously, you're not aware of this, Ozone, but Kathleen, who voiced Glinda Goodwitch, actually left Rooster Teeth almost 3 years ago now.
It was after Volume 3.
It was after Volume 3. She left Rooster Teeth 3 years ago on bad terms, so
yeah.
Glinda Goodwitch is never coming back. We're never going to see that character again. Let her go. She's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why we didn't see her during Volume 4 during the like tying.
The only time we did see her was on the television that Yang was watching, and it was a reused shot from Volume 3. So, and she didn't say anything, obviously. So, yeah, a lot of people don't know about that, and I'm like, well, it was a massive thing at the time. People were upset, and I'm like, how do people not know about this? But I guess the show has gained a lot of following since then, because it has been 3 years.
Yeah. I'm sad that we won't see Glinda again, though, because she was. I loved her design, and her semblance was interesting. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, oh well, one less character for them to try to fit screen time for.
Pishin, it would be worse if they brought her back and replaced her VA than just not bringing her back. Because I doubt anyone could do her as good as Kathleen did, and also she serves no purpose to the story right now.
Yeah, at this point, really. Like. If she's still in Vale by the time they get back to Vale, they could easily just explain. If they ever go back, they could easily just explain that, like, she died fighting Grimm. I mean, it's at this point, it would be very easy for them to remove Glinda from the story. Yeah. Because she no longer serves a purpose since they aren't at Beacon anymore.
And it is unfortunate that, because she was a good character, but, like, that's just the way things have to be. So yeah,
gives us one less character to worry about.
Well, exactly. There's already too many for them to keep track of as it is. Which I feel like is a lot of the reason we lost Ilya and Sun this volume, because they're like, okay, we got all this crap to do with Team RWBY. We need to get rid of these guys because there's no room for them. And I'm sad, but I'm like, yeah, I get it, but
yeah. It makes sense.
Them. And we just got Ilya, so I'm like, don't take her away. Rude. I like Ilya.
I mean, especially and that snazzy new outfit.
Yes, they gave her a new outfit, and I'm like, you gave her a new outfit for one scene, and now you're taking my lesbian girl away from me. How fucking dare you? Like, so
the chameleon of my heart.
Yes. Oh my god, Neptune. We'll talk about that scene in a minute, but
yeah.
Where were we? Yeah, Crow was telling the huntsman to...
Well, we skipped over one thing that we probably should address. Weiss is worried about going back to Atlas.
Yes, she is. I'm so glad that they addressed this. I'm so glad they didn't just leave it be, because of course she's going to be pissed off that they now have to go back to Atlas after she went to so much effort to literally escape her own house. Like... She
busted out of her own place, broke through an open border.
An airship illegally that was transporting illegal dust across the border to get out of her house. Like, and now she has to go back? I'm sorry, what? Of course she should be annoyed about it. She's like, I don't think you appreciate the trouble I went through to leave Atlas. I'm like, they have no idea, honey, how much trouble you went through to leave Atlas. Like,
I know. And then you leave, get into a plane crash, and end up kidnapped. Like,
yeah.
Our poor baby.
Volume 5 happened. After that. Oh, and she got impaled too. And now these guys are like, oh, sorry we put you through all that. We're going to take you back home now. And she's like, excuse me.
But I like that Ruby's like, don't worry, I have you. My precious.
I loved Weiss's expression after Ruby said that. I'm loving Weiss with her team now. I'm like, it was so hard to see Weiss so miserable in Volume 4, and like just being beat down by her father and her shitly brother, and just like my baby was just
Atlas society in general.
Yes, and she obviously hated it, and like and she obviously missed her team so much. And when she finally reunited with Yang, we got to see that, because she was like, I missed you so much, and you really feel that because her life back home was shit. And it's one of those things where like when she was with Team RWBY, we didn't really see how much it meant to her, and I don't think she realized how much it meant to her until they were taken away. And then suddenly she was thrust back into the life she fought so desperately to get away from, and she missed them, and she missed her freedom, and she missed her friends. And now seeing her like sort of loosen up and join in with Ruby's childishness in the intro and in this chapter, and just really revel in being with her team and really enjoy it, is so good. I'm loving Weiss's volume so far.
I know.
She
hasn't, like Snow Angel.
She hasn't lost what makes her the character that we love, but she's gained a lot of RWBY, which now I'm like, yes, Weiss.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
And I also just love that, like, her scarf is so clearly a reference to her grandfather.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's why I'm like, the first thing we see of Weiss in the volume, in what is probably arguably the start of the Atlas arc, is her wearing her grandfather's scarf. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good for Weiss.
Please. Weiss has so much unfinished business when she gets back to Atlas. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what's going on in the chat right now, so I'm just going to leave them to it. Talking about Amity Arena. I haven't played it yet. But... Oh,
well, speaking of Amity Arena, I did start a Boopcast Academy on the... on Amity Arena, so if anyone's interested. Well, I mean, I figured why not?
Alright, guess I'm going to have to download the game later.
Honestly, I didn't think you would play Amity Arena.
No, it's not really my thing. Like, it's like tower defense on the mobile. I'm like, ew. Basically, but I'll try it. Like, I don't really play mobile games though. I don't really have time to. Do you see all of the work I have to do? But what the fuck were we talking about? I don't even. Weiss.
Oh, it's Vale, Pishin.
What kingdom is it? Oh, Vale. Okay. Yeah, Larissa is part of Vale as well, so I don't have a kingdom because I don't have the game. Lost my train of thought completely again. Oh, that was a pun. I didn't even mean to make a pun.
Okay, well, the next thing I wanted to talk about in that is that, and this is related to something my sister said later, but it's Crow said the staff entrance to the caboose was wide open to Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Caboose, yeah.
And so we know that later on Blake has that hallucination about Adam. And some people are wondering, was that a hallucination? Could Adam have actually snuck onto the train?
He could have, but I don't see why. And I also don't see why he wouldn't just try to cut Blake up. Like, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't.
I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it makes sense as well, especially, but it could explain why he's, wearing this random hood that we haven't seen him wear. But, they are kind of notoriously bad about stuff like that, like with, Cinder cutting up time skip Ruby despite never seeing her.
Yeah, this is true. I'm still on the hallucination team.
I mean, I am...
Train. Blake has a bad track record with trains. Pun again. Sorry.
These accidental train puns.
Oh my gosh. This is the third train now in RWBY, so... No, fourth train, technically. Oscar took a train.
I just thought of... I was watching Arnold put out a video earlier about the about like a quote from Red versus Blue, and with the what's with all the standing, and about talking about all they do is stand around, and I'm like, oh my god, there was a caboose in this episode too. So many RWBY puns.
Yes, there is a lot of crossover punning between Red vs. Blue and RWBY. I would love just for like a crossover spin-off. That would just be the weirdest but most amazing thing ever.
I mean, I'm 4 seasons behind on RWBY.
I don't even know how many seasons behind I am on. I haven't even seen seasons 1 to like 9. I've seen season 10 and 11, I think. I don't even know. I've seen 1 through 11. I started watching the one that Monty started working on. I don't know which one that was.
Oh, that was I think, was that 9 or was that 8?
It might have been 9, actually.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. I've seen 2 seasons, and all I remember is the fight with the... I don't even remember her name now. The Black Spartan that kicks everyone's ass. The female one. I don't remember her name.
Agent Tex.
That's the one, Tex. How could I forget that?
Also voiced by Kathleen.
And Griff getting punched in the balls a lot. That's all I remember of Red vs. Blue. Oh, I'm falling towards the sky. That's the other one that I've seen. But I really don't remember a lot. It's been years. 8 and 9 both. Yeah, I think he did 10 as well. Some people have also wondered whether the caboose being wide open was an effective Crow's semblance. No, he was nowhere near it.
Yeah, he literally just walked up.
I think it's just those idiots not doing their job very well.
That or else Crow was just trying to get them to go away.
Yeah, well...
Go do your jobs, idiots.
Yeah. I think people read in... That's an example of people reading into something way too much there. Crow was nowhere near the train at that point, so... of course, we don't know what kind of radius his semblance sort of has, but we can assume it's very much close proximity based.
Yeah, we can assume it's probably about like 10 feet from what the stuff we've seen.
If that, yeah. I'm trying to run through the scene in my brain and it's really not working. Oh my gosh, what comes next?
Well, the next thing I noticed was that they quickly threw in that line of Yang saying, "Bike's all loaded up."
Oh yeah.
Just to explain later
how the bike is there. Yeah, exactly.
How the bike is there.
To be fair, they have consistently shown us the movements of the bike, like because it went through the Raven portal. I don't know how they got it off that balcony, but you know, I don't know how they got it through the building and down onto the street. But it's on the train, and they mentioned it. They said it's on the train, so there we go. It doesn't just kind of appear. I am curious as to how it got from Beacon back to Patch, though. Because where was it in Beacon? Because Yang had it while she was there.
Yeah.
But where was she keeping it?
There's probably...
Does Beacon have a garage? Like,
I don't know. She probably could have just stored it at Signal. Like, hey, Dad, I'm going to leave my bike here. Or was Signal on Patch? I can never remember. Signal was on Patch, wasn't it?
No. I think it's on the mainland? I don't know.
I don't remember. Volume 1 confuses me because they just were like, look, there's Signal. And it's like, cool.
Cool, okay. At that point, I didn't even know what Signal was because I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, you could see them loading the bike onto the train in the background?
Really?
I never noticed that.
Damn, I don't look closely enough at these episodes. To be fair, I didn't get the chance to rewatch Chapter 1 a lot. I have rewatched Chapter 2 a lot. So, Team Emerald. Yeah, so, Weiss being like, we're just waiting on Blake as usual. Like, so this scene with Blake and Ilya, Ilya looks really pretty in her new outfit. I hope we get to see it again.
I know. I'm honestly, like, the only way I would be happy with seeing Adam more this volume, besides his dead corpse, would be if Ilya was doing, like, something there.
No, we want to see Adam for the amazing fight scene where Yang and Blake kick his ass. That's where we want to see Adam. And then his dead corpse.
And then his dead corpse. You're right. We need to see the dying of the corpse.
The dying of the corpse. The killing of the corpse. The corpse that is Adam Taurus. The walking, talking, unbearable corpse.
Bleeding. Bleating, not bleeding.
Oh god. I hate you. At least when I make puns, they're by accident. You make them on purpose. What was I talking about? Yeah, Ilya. I liked this interaction between Ilya and Blake because we learned last volume, that Ilya had a big crush on Blake and that was a whole thing. And she was jealous and let her jealousy overcome her and rule her, basically. And I liked this interaction between them because none of that was there. We know that Ilya probably still harbors a lot of feelings towards Blake, but right then she was just being her friend. And, it was nice. It was a nice scene.
And I also just liked how she was basically like, I don't deserve your forgiveness, and Blake was like, bullshit!
Get over it, bitch. It makes sense that Ilya's going back to Menagerie now.
Did they say she was going back to Menagerie, or she was just working with Gira?
Yeah, they kind of implied that Gira and company are going back to Menagerie, but they could be staying in Mistral.
Yeah, because I figured they'd be staying in Mistral because they are, trying to start up a new movement.
Yeah.
And they don't really, need Menagerie's support.
Not really. Menagerie's kind of useless, anywho. Just a bunch of people who've never seen a good fight in their lives. And they didn't do any fighting at the end of Volume 5. They just kind of went, hands up, bitch. Because there was, half a dozen White Fang there. Gosh. Don't even get me started on that, but, We'll talk about we'll talk about Volume 5, Chapter 14 later. I reckon we might do a Boopcast on the break week and talk about that chapter, because we never did one because of RTX Sydney. I'm sorry about that. It just didn't happen. It will happen, though. We'll discuss it. But yeah. Yeah. So Ilya is freaking adorable, and I'm so sad that we're losing her.
I know.
But
my question, do you think they purposefully showed her feet during the, when she ran up to Blake to make people be like, are they gonna kiss?
Yes.
Do you think they did that on purpose?
Yes, I do think that was deliberate, because they like to stir shit. Everything Miles and Harry do is to stir shit. Noob Pro Bees, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Noob Army.
I was like, Noob isn't following you, and then I was like, oh, it's Bees.
Yeah, that confused the crap out of me. Also, that just let me know that my widget theme is completely wrong.
Oh, really?
Hang on, let me fix that really quick. Because I was in such a hurry, I forgot to change it. It's not set to the Boopcast. There we go.
But yeah, I know. I didn't for a second believe that she was going in for a kiss. And I was like, if this is a kiss, this is horribly inappropriate.
There we go. That's better. That's the right alert. There we go.
I just love the SheBot's like, welcome to the Noob Army, SheNoob.
Damn
our
you,
founder.
SheBot. Good SheBot, but no, bad SheBot. What the fuck are we talking about? Ilya. Yeah, I'm so sad that we're losing Ilya, because I feel like we just got her back. She just came back from the dark side and started being adorably cute, and and now she's gone. And
I know. Okay,
Sun rolls up, and immediately I was like, please tell me he's wearing something different, but it's Sun, so naturally he's not. He's made it clear before that he doesn't give a crap about his appearance, so I'm like, whatever. Sun's wearing the same outfit for 6 years now, it's fine. But, I was so excited to see Neptune. I knew we were gonna get some allusion to Team Sun, and I was kind of hoping to see Team Sun, but now we're leaving to see all of them. Mistral, and I'm like, we're going away from Team Sun now, so we're not gonna see Scarlet and Sage, but, I literally screamed when Neptune appeared. If you've seen my reaction. I was really excited to see Neptune. because it's been so long, and I really like Neptune, and I'm sad that he just disappeared. So, but his interaction with Ilya and Blake being like, wrong tree. I was like, oh, that's so good. I actually missed it. I missed it the first time. I didn't hear it.
I did too, because I was talking, because I was really like, Neptune, no.
Yeah. Neptune, no, not good. I love how awkward Ilya looks in the background too, where she's like holding her hands behind her and like just scuffing her toes on the ground. She's like, please don't come talk to me, Neptune. So obviously these guys have all been acquainted, but because Neptune's like, oh, Ilya's here, hello.
But now I'm like, when did when did Team Sun get into the picture again? Because they weren't at Haven.
They've been like, it's been 2 weeks, but I'm like, what happened in those 2 weeks? I need information, bitches.
I was a little bit annoyed about the fact that we got that time jump.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I wanted to like Blake's clearly been up to date on like relics and maidens and everything.
Been brought up to speed on some things, but in other regards, I still feel like she's completely out of the loop. Like, does she know about Crow's semblance? Because it doesn't seem like she does.
Yeah, that was another thing. But I mean, is that honestly like that information important? She needs?
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's the thing, though. They keep telling people only what they need to know at the time, and it keeps backfiring later. So I'm like, just lay it all out, just bring her up to speed, and let her deal with it, and move on. But
like,
no,
I would have been fine if they just showed us like what they showed when Yang and Weiss were caught up to date, of them like their initial reaction after the conversation. Like, we don't need them to sit down and be like, here are the maidens and us and this and this and like
we don't need to hear that again for the fourth
but like
time.
I would have liked to like see Blake's reaction to learning magic is real.
Because all we really got was like at the end of Volume 5, Blake was like, what is happening? Because she's completely out of the loop. But now we know she's more or less in the loop, but she still feels really out of the loop because we haven't seen any of it. We're like, we don't know what Blake knows. Does Blake know what she knows? Like, give it what Miles and Kerry love trolling us. They feed off the rage from fans. Yes, they do. I just read something in the chat and now I can't find it. Oh, seeing Neptune was nice, but his eyebrows look so weird. Everyone agrees that Neptune's eyebrows look really, really weird, and so Mercury looks weird in general. But for some reason, when they have ported characters over from the old style to the new one, it's fucked up their eyebrows. I don't know what it is about eyebrows. Sun's look fine. So why are Neptune's and Mercury's all messed up?
Yeah, exactly.
So weird. Mercury doesn't look like himself. It's really bizarre. He looks like a different person.
I literally, in my reaction, I was like, Neptune, you don't look right.
I didn't actually notice at the time because I was too excited to see him. But yeah, his eyebrows are fucked. I don't know what it is about eyebrows. They apparently can't get men's eyebrows right in this. Crow looked a little weird transitioning from the old style to the new as well. But I think I've gotten used to it now, so I'm like, he doesn't look weird to me now.
Yeah, I'm sure some of it just comes down to once we've seen them enough, it's like, okay, that's just their face now. Although I will never get used to Mercury's, and we saw quite a bit of him at the end of last volume.
Mercury will always look strange. Watching Volume 3 again the other day, the Crow versus Winter fight, I was like, Crow looks really weird in Volume 3. I'm like, he ended up looking better when they moved him into Volume 4, so I was like, okay. But for some reason, Neptune, eyebrows, Mercury, I don't know what's going on with them. But yeah, it was really good to see Neptune. Of course, he hasn't changed his clothes either in 2 years, apparently. But you know, whatever. And we did learn that Team Sun are going to Shade Academy in Vacuo, because apparently it's the only functioning academy left. Like, we don't know what's going on with Atlas. It could be in session, but I don't think anyone from outside of Atlas is attending Atlas Academy.
Yeah, now. Atlas their borders are closed. Yeah. And plus, also, it does not seem like the school that they would want to go to. Can you imagine Sun?
No, it makes sense. No. It makes sense that they go to Shade, because that's where Sun's from, Vacuo. So
that too.
And Beacon's out of order, and now Haven's out of order. So where else are they going to go?
But I was just more like, are they really so worried about like schooling? Like, why don't they stay behind and help like, get Haven up and running again.
I don't know. I guess maybe they figure it's not really their problem. Like, maybe they just want things to kind of go back to normal, sort of. They just want to assume some sort of normalcy. I can see their reasons for, like, wanting to go back to school and that.
Yeah. Pishin says that Atlas was closed in Volume 4, but all of the schools were still closed then, and that was
closed. Yeah.
And that was the reason that the schools were all meant to reopen the day before the attack on Haven, and that's why they did that when they did.
Yeah. Was it the day before or the day after?
Day before, because the next day was, or no, well, the day after the attack, the schools would open.
Yeah, you said before.
Because that they needed, it was the last possible day the school would be empty.
Yeah. So yeah, none of the academies were in session at the time. Yeah, because Ironwood mentions to Weiss that she has a place at Atlas Academy if she wants it, and they'll be back in session soon. But then once we got to the attack on Haven, school still wasn't in session. So school is now back in session. So Team Sun are going to Shade, I guess, to finish their Huntsman training. I don't blame them for wanting to do that. This fight isn't really their fight, and I would hate to. And I think Team RWBY as well would hate to put them in the line of fire, I guess. So I don't even know how much the rest of Team Sun knows about everything. Sun, I don't know how much Sun knows.
I doubt Sun knows anything.
Yeah, I doubt they've told him much about it.
Like, I'm sure that Blake had to make it clear that she was staying with them before they were like, okay, here's the lowdown.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, that was a nice scene. And then the little chat between Sun and Neptune, where Neptune's like, oh, you're just gonna let her go, and Sun's like, it's not about that. It was never about that. Sun is incredibly selfless, and Blake will never do enough to deserve him.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. She was so mean to him in Volume 4. Like, she was so mean, and I'm like, you don't deserve this boy. He is sunshine and rainbows, and you're awful. But,
I go where I'm
needed. We don't want to get friends involved if we don't have to. Exactly, there's a RWBY quote there. I'm in Vanquish, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Noob Army. Yeah, so that's dumb. You should always get friends involved. Yeah, so that was a nice little moment between them, and then we heard some of the score from Sun versus Indigo, which I was like, yes.
I also liked that they finally address, well, because Neptune says, I feel like you're just letting her get away, and Sun says, it was never about that Brainiac. Yeah. And it's like, I kind of like that they addressed that like, Sun wasn't seeking her out because he was like, my girlfriend's on the run. No. He was like, she's hurting, and I'm gonna be there for her. He was
being a good fucking friend, and she doesn't deserve him. She's such a broody bitch. Look, I love Blake, but holy crap was she mean to Sun. Like, she's got better now, obviously. And she did say, you know, I will never be able to thank you enough, and like, I couldn't have done any of this without you. So at least she's aware of that. But she was so mean to him. I was like, bitch, stop. He just wants to help you. Poor Sun. But yeah, I'm going to miss Sun and Ilya a lot. And seeing Neptune again was great, but now it's just making me miss him even more. So,
and they're also like clearly setting up for this just continues to reaffirm my theory about how RWBY is going to parallel the events of the Great War. Like, it's all there's going to be a big climactic battle that happens in Vacuo.
At least he gets a kiss as retribution. Peck on the cheek, it doesn't count.
I mean, but I think I was like, yay, he deserves that for all the shit she put him through.
Well, it was a peck on the cheek. He deserves a lot more than that, in my opinion. Not like that. Okay, you just made it weird. Alright. Yeah, so there was that. Then where did we go?
To them in their new bunks.
Right. Oh my god, they were in the same spots that they were in Beacon, and I just about died. Holy crap.
I know.
Everything's back to normal, almost, sort of, not really.
I was like, everything is okay.
Everything is fine. This is fine. It's not fine. I made you spit out your ice cream. Sorry. Jesus. We'll keep a better handle on your food. Jesus. Good lord. I find like wine. Welcome to the stream. Thanks so much for that. What were we talking about? Right, yeah. I love the parallel with their old bunks and RWBY playing video games and just being generally childish. Weiss like moving her cape out the way, like, bitch, what are you doing? I'm trying to like read down here. Do you mind? And then Yang was reading a magazine which I think had like bike parts in there.
Yeah, based on what I could see, it looked like motorcycle.
Somebody reckoned
accessories.
That they saw her arm in the magazine, and I'm like, that wouldn't make any sense.
It was designed for her.
Yeah, and she literally painted it herself, so why would it be in a magazine, black and yellow?
Yeah, because I saw the color scheme, and that's why I thought her motorcycle.
Again, I feel like she would have customized her motorcycle.
That too.
Blake realizing she's a shitty person was nice. Yeah, she is a shitty person. I don't think it was
her arm?
I don't think it was Pishin, because that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that makes no sense. They definitely made it clear that like Ironwood had it designed for her.
Yeah, and also she painted it herself. So why would a black and yellow arm just suddenly appear in a catalog? Doesn't make any sense. But Blake being a broody bitch sitting there with a book on her lap, not reading it, and I'm like, honey, you need to get over yourself.
I know.
I know things are shit right now. I know you don't know how to make up for what you did, but just read your book, Blake. Get over it. Like, and then the way she was like watching Yang as she hopped down off the bunk, and she's like, "Let me help you with that." I'm like, honey. Honey.
Well, she was completely zoned out until Yang spoke, and then she was immediately like,
my Yang senses are tingling. Yeah. Drop it in the Discord because I don't believe you. I don't see why they would put that in there. It wouldn't make any sense. But
yeah.
She's just like, bless her, she's trying so hard to make up for things in whatever little tiny way that she can. But all she's doing is kind of making it worse a little bit, because Yang's like, give me some space, like, we'll be okay. Just,
I mean, especially like the last thing that Yang would want is to be like mothered and babied. Yeah, you're broken, let me help you. Like, yeah, exactly. That's absolutely not what she wants.
No, she doesn't want to be treated like an invalid, because she's not. She's fine. And that's why she says, I'm fine, like, we are gonna be fine. Like, don't worry about me, I can take care of myself, and we are going to be okay. Just right now, there's more important things to worry about than whatever issues we've got.
Exactly.
And they will deal with those issues. They have to. It's going to blow up in their face at some point.
They better have a conversation, because I will not just let them make things okay.
No.
By one scene. I will not let them. I will not stand for this.
It's not allowed. No, it will happen. That, like, if Miles and Kerry so far this volume have been proving pretty much that they've been listening to every little tiny criticism about Volume 5 in particular. And, like, oh, do you know what? I did take notes on the RWBY Rewind, so we need to talk about
I was going to mention the RWBY Rewind.
They, like, was it Ezra that said, that, Volume 6, Chapter 1 was, like, a checklist of, like, viewer complaints where they were like, where's Neptune? Check. Like, just checking off everything that the fans had been complaining about for, like, years. So, Blake and Yang are going to have their talk. It's going to happen. It's just that right now, there's more important things to worry about. And they both know that, so they're like, not right now. We will talk about this, just not now.
Yeah.
And Blake's got a lot of making up to do, and she knows that. At least she knows that what she did was shitty, and that Yang is pissed off at her for it. She's aware of that, so I'm like, good. The pacing up to that scene was flawless. What was wrong with the pacing of that scene? There was nothing wrong with the pacing of that scene.
Because, I mean, that scene, it was, at least the start of it, was purely fan service.
Yeah, I mean, well.
It was really there to be like, look, They're back in their bunks. Everything is okay.
This whole volume so far is paced better than any other volume, and it's been 2 chapters. Like,
I know. I was gonna say, you and I, when we first talked about chapter 2, we talked about how it was like just
perfectly paced.
So perfect.
And that's like for RWBY, which is a show that has struggled with pacing since day 1. We're like, yes, finally, they are getting it right. Please last the entire volume.
I know.
It's not going to. We know there's going to be a bad chapter in there somewhere, because there always is. But, so far, so good. Give me that yangst. Oh, you mean the scene, that scene's pacing was flawed. I thought the whole chapter was paced really well. Actually, the fight scene was paced a little after that, but I'll talk about that in a bit. Hello, Emma. Welcome to the podcast. We're chatting about RWBY. Let me just put the thingy up really quick. There we go. I keep losing my train of thought.
Hey, Arnold.
Hey, Arnold. Thank you for stopping by. How are you? The one time he'll actually be able to stop by this entire volume.
Literally the one podcast.
I'm so sorry, because the Boopcast will be streaming when you do your live stream discussions on a Saturday morning for me, so sorry about that. We're gonna overlap you, so, but yeah, anywho's. Hey, Arnold. Thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate your presence. I don't even know what RWBY is. Well, you might want to jump out there, Emma. I'm streaming tonight, so if you want to come back then, you're more than welcome. But yeah, so, yeah, this scene was just like, it was a nice way of them saying, like, we're going to address this, just not now. Because obviously there's more important things. And then, oh my god, I freaking love the shot of RWBY and Weiss in the background, just like popping out behind Yang, like, that is my favorite shot in the whole episode. I'm like, oh, I love RWBY and Weiss so far this volume. I love them. They're so amazing. You're scripting some stuff, so I'll have y'all on second monitor. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Yeah, I just love them so much this volume. They're just ticking all of my boxes. It's great. I have missed it so much too. I've missed RWBY and Weiss.
I know.
And like their dynamic is different now, but it's so good. It's in a good way. No worries, Emma. Oh, the emotes didn't work on my end. That's awkward. Are they working in the chat?
Yeah, they worked in chat.
Okay, they didn't work in the chat bot. That's weird. Hi, Blue Husky. They are so freaking adorable, and I love them. I mentioned this on the Corner Remnant, but I love the way how RWBY and Weiss and Blake and Yang's dynamics have completely swapped. Whereas in the first few volumes, Blake and Yang were such a cohesive unit, and they got along really well from the get-go. And we had a lot of Blake and Yang moments, like with burning the candle and that kind of thing, where they were really getting very close. Cory's headphones have run out of battery, and he's trying to be nonchalant about it. He's trying to be super nonchalant about it. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Oh my gosh. Cory, add the checking all my boxes. Ha! You're not a mod, you can't add it. Ha! Ha! Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Just like casually trying to slip the battery out.
I was literally like, she's talking. I need to change headphone batteries.
Quickly. Oh my god.
There's no subtle way to be like, dismantle your headphones.
Yeah. I love how, like, yeah, in the first few volumes, Blake and Yang were a really cohesive unit, and Weiss and RWBY were kind of the ones that were at odds with each other, and, like, they didn't mesh completely well. I feel like they only started to at the end of Volume 3, during the Battle for Beacon, when we had quite a few nice Weiss and RWBY moments there. But I mean, now,
even at the beginning, like with introducing her to Winter, that they seemed to have a very good dynamic then.
Yeah, but again, it was full of like Weiss's snarkiness.
Oh,
but now I
can get that patient. Sorry, wasn't paying attention to chat.
Now I feel like the snarkiness is gone, and Weiss is just happy to be with RWBY again, as partners and as a team. Yeah, the two partners in Team RWBY, their dynamics have completely shifted over. So now RWBY and Weiss are the cohesive unit, and they're really in sync, and they're really working really well together. And Blake and Yang are at odds with each other in a really bad way. And it's something they've not been able to address yet, and it's going to explode in their faces, and it's going to be dramatic and emotional. But it's interesting to me the way that they've swapped over like that now.
But also, because if you think about it, Blake and Yang are really the only two left who need to have conflict.
Yeah. Because
Weiss and Blake already had theirs, and that was racism that got resolved. And then RWBY and Weiss had theirs, and that got resolved. And I mean, RWBY and Yang aren't, I don't think, ever really going to have conflict besides that one scene at the end of Volume 3. But, like, they're siblings. They've lived together for 16 years. They're fine.
That was just Yang being an angsty bitch, And she had reason to be, but... Weiss and Yang also have never really had much confrontation. But, I don't think they really have any beef to confront each other over. So.
Yeah, especially after that scene last volume. I don't see them ever arguing really extensively.
The only way I could ever see them having beef with each other is if Weiss had beef with RWBY. And Yang would be like, bish, no. I'm gonna protect my sister. But, yeah. Crow coming in with his martini glass, like, really, Crow? Where's your flask?
I know.
I feel like he's just grasping at straws at that point. Like, I've been in the bar car. Can you tell? No shit, Crow. Where else did we possibly think you would be? I noticed an odd thing in this scene, actually, when he's standing in the doorway and the train shakes because the Grimm are attacking. And he says, it's not yours, grab your weapons, and then runs down the hallway. In the next shot, he runs across the camera from the other side. I'm like, he's running the wrong way in that shot. Like, he's already run this way, and then it changes, and now he's running this way, the opposite direction across the camera. I'm like, that's not right. But, it's just like, at least they're not having the scene blocking issues that they had in Volume 5, Chapter 14. Let me put it that way. Because that episode was horrendous for scene blocking. Characters were teleporting everywhere. RWBY and Blake confrontation, or hell, anything with RWBY and Blake actually talking.
Yeah, true.
I know. I went back and watched Painting Their Town, and I was like, this is the only time in the entire show RWBY and Blake have ever fought together. And it's like, they have one interaction talking about Yang's semblance, and that's it. And I'm like, they don't really talk again after that. It just doesn't really happen. Maybe he was getting his weapon. No, it literally, like, okay.
Yeah, because he ran off the screen left, and then he ran on screen, like, from the left. Like,
from the right, yeah.
He should have been going this way, and instead he then starts running this way.
Here's the camera facing the door of the cabin. He runs this way. It switches to shooting into the cabin. He runs this way again. It's not right. It's just not right. And I noticed it straight away. I was like, that was not correct. But it's just one of those little things where he actually really didn't need to be in the second shot at all. And it just, he was running the wrong way. So I was like, okay. But I love that he's like, grab your weapons, and Yang's like, whoosh, I've already got mine, bitches, let's do this. And everyone else is like, where's my weapon, quick?
But I like that one thing we have consistently seen with RWBY these last couple times is that, like, she leaves her weapon by the door. Like, we saw last volume with Olive Ranger, and then we see it this one where, like, RWBY will not leave the room without Crescent Rose.
Yeah,
like,
she leaves it right by the door, yeah. And, like, it's massive. Where else is she going to leave it? Yeah, we're talking about Crow Arnold. Yeah, so fight scene time.
Yes. He probably went back for another martini.
I wouldn't put it past him. Yeah, let me just grab like, another quick
Grimm
one
attack.
Before we
kill
these
one
Grimm. Yeah, so chucking us back into the action, reiterating a couple of the things we already saw to reorient us in the scene.
Well, actually, one thing I thought was interesting is that in the scene before, when the Grim attack happens, Blake goes, "Just my luck," and Crow goes, "No, it's mine."
It's not yours,
I would actually
says,
I'd be interested to see those two talk, because like a lot of Blake's issues come down to like she feels like she's a burden to everybody and she brings misfortune on others and all this other stuff.
And Crow like literally brings misfortune.
Brings misfortune with him. I'm like, I'd like just to see them talk, to be like, you're fine. You can do better.
You're doing
I can't,
amazing.
But you
can. But yeah, this fight scene was epic. I loved it. I loved getting to follow Oscar for the second part, because I love Oscar, and Oscar's my baby. And Ozpin, one thing I like about Ozpin is that 99% of the time he will ask for permission before taking over Oscar's body. Like, he says, "Shall I?" And Oscar's like, "No, I want to do this. I'm keeping control." And I like that Oscar is doing that. Like, he wants to do this himself because he knows that he has to be capable of doing this himself. Get our resident black cat in the burb to talk. Yeah, so Oscar's kicking ass here, doing what he does, trying to help in any way that he can. There were a couple of awkward moments of animation. For example, it was at the start, Ren swinging Nora around. It was worse in the trailer than I think it was in the actual chapter. It was a little better in the chapter, but it just felt too slow, because she was using her grenade launcher. Holy shit. Fucking Magenhild. It has a name.
I was about to say, it's Magenhild.
I kept going to say Mertnaster. Consent is good, since it's non-existent in Volume 5, yes.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, that I'm very glad that Oscar is showing that he, you know, after Ozpin stole his body from him last volume, that he's like, mine.
No, bitch, mine. I understand why Ozpin did it then, because Oscar was up against a foe. There was no way he was going to be able to beat Hazel on his own.
I mean, he would have died, but, you know.
He would have been fucked, and Ozpin knew it, so. But I also just don't really trust Ozpin right now.
I know.
But at least he does ask. You know, he could just be a bitch about it, but he's not. Obviously, he's gone through this process many times, so he's trying to make it as easy for Oscar as possible, I think. As easy as he possibly can. But
also, this is also the point in the thing where we see Tweedledee die.
Oh yeah.
That skip over that, but you know, just pointing out that happened.
He literally runs out to the Grim and dies immediately. I'm like, bish, whatever.
Congratulations, you're useless.
Yeah, congratulations, you're fucking useless. But yeah, the animation with Ren swinging Nora around, I felt, because she was propelling herself with Magenhild, it should have been a lot faster than what it was. It just felt really slow and sluggish. And then the other point is when Oscar goes up to Crow and says, "What can I do? How can I help?" Crow is just kind of standing there, just like taking pot shots at Grim. And I'm like, a minute ago you were kicking serious butt. Now you're standing there taking pot shots. Like, what, Crow? What are you doing? Like, and I get it was because Oscar was coming up to talk to him, but I'm like, why are you standing there? Like, what are you doing?
Well, the reason that I justified that with was that there were no Grim in range. So he was like, because we saw that a lot of the Manticores were just flying until they'd run in. So. But
I'm talking about, like, the animation itself. He's like, bang, bang, talk to Oscar, point the gun, don't even shoot again until the shot ends. I'm like, no. That's not good. Like, there's apparently a lot of Grim around, and he's just casually, you know. But whatever. The bit with Oscar running along the train was pretty good. Dudley's an idiot. I don't know why Crow thought Dudley would listen to a 14-year-old kid, but, like, I think Crow forgets that Oscar is a 14-year-old kid because he sees him as Ozpin.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that there's a bit in chapter 2 where I'm like, it kind of shows how he thinks of him. Thank you, Sydney.
I can see you, like, side-eyeing the door, like, do I mute my mic? Do I keep talking?
I was literally like, this couldn't have happened at a worse time, right?
I'm calling you out on everything today.
I know, you really are. There's a cactuar behind you.
Yes, there is. Thank you. I'm aware of that. I'm sure everyone watching is too. It's very green. There's also Weiss back there.
Yeah, I think you're right that he definitely does not see him as
Oscar.
Well, yeah. It's weird because like it seemed during Volume 5 he really saw him as Oscar because like during that fight he was constantly like running in to save Oscar.
Yeah. I think in this particular instance he knows that it's Oscar, but I feel like he regards Oscar a lot higher than a 14-year-old kid. And whereas everyone else will just see him as a 14-year-old kid, they don't know it's Osborn. So, like, but Crow, I think, forgets that. He's like, go tell that idiot to stop doing this. And it's like, bitch, he's not gonna listen. Like, eating fries? I see you, I'm eating M&M's, it's fine.
Listen, we're late on the podcast. It's 7 o'clock.
It's fucking lunchtime! It's lunchtime and I haven't eaten. And it's dinner time for Cory. But... yeah, that was, and then Oscar screaming tunnel. I love we got to see that up close.
Funnel.
You in your fucking reaction. We need to talk about this. If you haven't seen Cory's reaction yet, go to his YouTube and watch it because it's hilarious. But this bitch thought Oscar yelled funnel the first time he heard it.
I was like, what did he say? Funnel? And
funnel?
Then like the camera turns and you see the tunnel and I'm like, oh, tunnel.
Funnel! It cracks
Listen,
me up.
I misheard a lot of things during that episode.
Yes, you did. So go check out his reaction. It's hilarious. But yeah, definitely not a funnel. Definitely a tunnel. That crunching sound that Dudley's arm makes, like, holy crap, that is a meaty noise. And like everybody cringed at that. Every reaction I've watched, they all cringed. I was like, ugh, yuck.
I told you this before, but I was expecting the next time we saw him to just be like a bloody stump. Like,
did you see what Arnold said in the chat? Dudley owes us an arm. I honestly thought his arm would be off.
Yeah,
but, I guess we can chalk that down to aura.
Yeah, because I guess that would explain it, because he hadn't really taken any hits besides maybe some like splash damage.
Hey Tyson!
But like,
we are talking about Chapter 1 of Volume 6. If you haven't seen it, go away. I don't know if you're up to date or not.
he said
he's up to date. Okay, awesome. The armpit was gross. Yeah.
Also, remember we were making jokes about him during Extra Life, or was that during Extra Life when him and?
Oh yes, it was Extra Life. Yeah.
I mean, we were making jokes.
Not at all. Shit, we just blew our cover. Fuck! Yeah, but, Dawn brought something up on the corner of Remnant about the arm injury. No, was it Dawn? It wasn't Dawn. No, it was somebody in the chat on the corner of Remnant that brought this up. That they were surprised it was just, like, kind of bruised. I'm like, obviously this person's never broken a bone before, because that's exactly what happens. It goes blue, black, purple on the surface. You get a nasty bruise when you break a bone. It happened when I broke my foot. It bruises on the surface. So I didn't find any problem with the way that looked. Of course, it didn't look like it was broken, but he was, like, nursing it like he couldn't move it, so...
Yeah.
Crunch was super cringy, but super ASMR satisfying. Yeah. Well, I don't have an ASMR trigger, so... Danny,
I can't,
oh, that's right. You guys
caught up. Anything worse.
You guys caught up on RWBY, didn't you? Yeah. Okay, so Beez is up to date. Good. Oh yeah, I know you watched Chapter 2. What am I talking about? Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm forgetful. Yeah. So and Crow was annoying the crap out of me in the scene because
I know
he was being such a douche, and like the dude's just broken his arm, and I get that he's a useless piece of garbage, but like Crow, come on, calm down. Oh god.
I got it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, don't subscribe to PewDiePie. Jesus Christ.
I
because
saw you.
There is his entire fan base
chat,
in
like,
one person right there. That's his entire fan base. Yeah, go subscribe to that, sure. Anywho. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Crow was just being a bit of a douche, and I loved all these shots of, like, RWBY, like, looking out at the Grim, looking at the passengers, and, like, you can see the cogs turning in her brain. being like, putting her leader boots on and working out what they should do from here. And the way that she puts her arm on Crow and he instantly stops and steps aside for her, I loved that. Because Ruby has a lot of faith in her uncle, but I think he also returns that faith in her as, like, as a huntress and as the leader of her team. Like, she is the leader for a reason. She's a good leader.
Crow wasn't leader of his team.
That seemed contrived to me.
It's why I wonder if, because Summer was the leader of their team, I wonder if he doesn't like, in those instances, if he doesn't almost see Summer.
And we don't know how close, like, Crow was with Summer either. Like, we know they were on the same team, but that doesn't necessarily mean they were close. But he did talk about her and her silver eyes, so obviously he had some knowledge of her abilities in that. So, but yeah, the way he just steps aside and lets her take over is like, I'm like, that's a really nice moment. Ruby stepping up has been needed for a long time. She has stepped up on multiple occasions. She always, when things go to shit, she steps up when she's needed. She stepped up in the end of Volume 5, and I don't know,
there were some times during Volume 5 where I thought she was a little too passive.
Until the
where
end.
She just kind of seemed to be like, I mean, granted, when it comes to fights, I feel like she's really like, yeah! But sometimes in, like, more social situations, I feel like she's a little too, like,
That's because she's socially awkward, though. Like, she doesn't people very well. That's the problem.
Same mood.
She can grim, but she can't people. Like, you're right there.
Call me out all the time.
No, well, Pishin, you're forgetting about, like, after Weiss gets injured, Ruby really steps up to the plate then. Because she's like, no, I'm angry. Like, and she makes sure that they win that fight. And she was, like, delegating roles to people and all that kind of thing and doing what she does best as a leader. So, yeah. But for a lot of that volume, she was in the background, but that's because there was so much going on with Yang and Weiss and Blake and Oscar and Crow and Jean and other people elsewhere. Not Jean.
I mean, that's just been a criticism a lot of RWBY in general, is that RWBY does not act like a protagonist. That's just a general criticism a lot of people have with RWBY. The show, not the character.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, kind of the character.
I mean, RWBY hasn't had a whole lot of character development. She did have this nice moment with Oscar last volume, where she talked about the fall of Beacon, and it's the first time we've really heard her talk about it. And how, like, she felt about it and how she was dealing with it. Because obviously she lost Penny, who she was very close to, and then Pyrrha, who she wasn't that close to. And, like, hearing her express regret at not being that close to Pyrrha, and not spending more time with both Pyrrha and Penny, and, like, not appreciating them while they were there, was some nice character development for her. Because I feel like a lot of the time she sweeps it under the rug for the sake of everybody else.
Yeah.
And that is perceived as her not dealing with it, but she's dealing with it in her own way. Not everybody deals with things externally. I think RWBY is someone who's very introverted. She deals with things more internally. And she just puts it aside because that's what she needs to do. Yeah, so... yeah, RWBY, that was a nice RWBY moment there when she was, like, taking charge of the situation and being like, alright, you guys do this, we're gonna do this. Nora's idea about masking the emotions, and, like, it was so good to see Jean for the first time using his semblance. We've never seen him use his semblance. The only time he activated his semblance was by accident. Like, he wasn't intentionally doing that. Now he's going up to Dudley, he's healing his arm, he's amplifying Ren's aura, which is a cool thing that we haven't, semblance, which is a cool thing we haven't seen him do before.
It was one thing I was glad that they addressed, is that, yes, his semblance is actually aura amplification.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people assumed, based on, the scene last volume with him giving Weiss the thing, and then her being able to just summon the queen bee, that, you know, that his semblance was something like that, but it's nice for them to actually spell it out for us that it's aura amplification. He boosts people and blah blah blah.
He uses his aura to amplify other people's aura and make them stronger and make their semblance stronger as well. So, yeah, that's one of my favorite moments in the whole chapter is when he puts his hand on Ren's shoulder and Ren masks, the whole train goes grey. That was an awesome shot flying through the train.
Beautiful shot.
The only problem I had with that shot was that every single train car had the exact same crowd in it. I noticed it straight away. I was like, that's really annoying. Like, it was so noticeable, but still a really amazing shot. It amplifies aura, and semblance comes from aura. So
yeah. Semblance is the physical manifestation of aura.
Yeah, so essentially, Jean, once he had already amplified Weiss's aura enough that it had healed her, he was then amplifying her semblance after that, and that's why she was able to summon the Lancer, because she was at a point where she was at her strongest, and he was helping her to do that. Because, she summons that glyph and says, keep it up, and she's like, keep going, because I'm going to do something amazing here in a second. And
I'm gonna kill a bitch.
I'm gonna cut a bitch. Did you see that thing on my Discord?
Yes.
I can't talk about it because it's a chapter 2 thing. It was just good to get that reminder since it is a new season. Exactly. They do need to also spell everything out for people more than once, because people don't pay attention.
Well, also, it's just good for them to confirm the nature of his semblance, because then otherwise people are like, well, what does it do?
Yeah.
Like, and especially, they left his semblance a mystery for 5 volumes. At this point, they can just be like, here you go. This is it. We've kept it all from you. Here you go.
Yeah.
Run with it, my babies.
This is what he does. He can do this now. And I'm always called back to Winter in Volume 3, being like, your semblance is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it will become. So, like, once they unlock that, it's just like flexing a muscle. That it's like another muscle they have to learn how to use. And Jean's obviously figuring it all out still, and it does take him some time to heal that broken arm. And it's not exactly a fast-moving semblance, but Jean's semblance is going to be broken. Yeah, I have a feeling that he's going to amplify someone's aura to the point of breaking his own at some point. That's going to be a thing that we're going to see. I don't know if it'll be this volume, but it is going to put him in serious danger. Thought it was Shank.
Although I
think he also... You're correct, yeah.
Although I think he also means that just, like, it's going to be overpowered.
Yeah.
Because the thing is at least they show that he has to be, like, in physical contact with them. Amplify Crow's aura. God, no.
He did amplify Weiss's aura from a slight distance, and he did do Dudley's from a slight distance, but Jean's, he actually made physical contact with him. Ren's, sorry, I just realized I said Jean. But I feel like, again, that's like... Initially, Jean was making physical contact with Weiss when he started to do it, and then he moved his hands away, or Ruby moved his hands away, actually, because she wanted to kill Weiss, apparently. Amplify Crow's aura. Please don't! That is a bad idea! But, I feel like the reason he didn't make physical contact with Dudley is because he like, doesn't know him, and that would be weird if some dude just came up and placed his hands on his broken arm and be like, trust me, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, here.
I know what I'm doing. Let me touch you inappropriately. Like, no. But yeah, again, like, placing his hand on Ren. I don't know if it makes any difference, like, his proximity or not, like, as to how strong it is, but...
And it could just also go with, like, I know that when we see people use their aura is, like, closely tight to their body, but, like, it's sometimes in, like, more metaphysical aspects, like, your aura surrounds you. So it could be, like, that he is touching their aura, not them.
That sounds weird.
Maybe.
When you put it like that. So, I have a fun fact for you. We're at 1 hour and 50 minutes.
No way.
Yes, we are. I just looked at the time. I was like, oh, God. We talk too much.
Seriously, and we still have the entire opening to talk about, and oh my god.
Yeah. Hopefully chapter 2's won't go
To be fair,
long.
this is the longest episode we'll probably get this volume.
This is true. Yeah, so moving on from that, Ren masks the entire train. That's really cool, and I loved the moment between Ruby and Jean, actually, of Jean being like, "Just promise you'll meet us there." And Jean has a lot of faith in Ruby, I think, and Ruby has a lot of faith in Jean. And we forget that they haven't separated since the start of the show, and they've grown up together, and they've been friends this whole time. There was that moment with them in Volume 1 where Ruby was like, "You're a leader, you don't get to be a failure." And since then, I think they've had a really special bond as team leaders who were kind of thrown into their leadership role without really knowing what the heck they're doing, and figuring it out together. And yeah, that was I love the moments between Ruby and Jean. And then also it calls back to the Volume 4 moment as well.
Did that promise make you nervous as well, though?
A little bit.
I was literally, when they made that promise, I just felt just a part of me sink, and I was like, it's fine.
Everything's fine. Nothing's going to happen to Team RWBY. Look, they just put them through so much peril. They need a break for a little bit. Please don't kill anybody off.
Oh, they won't.
Yeah, so the fight scene. We gotta talk about this.
Well, no, we're skipping a very important scene.
Are we?
When Ozpin explains that
the relic, I forgot.
About the relic attracting Grimm, and all of Team RWBY being like, what the fuck? They were ready to fight.
Yeah. They were ready to fight. I liked too that Ruby stepped in and she was like, it doesn't matter right now. Seriously guys, pull your shit together. We have a more pressing matter at hand. But then yeah.
And boy, do they get to that.
Yeah, they do get to that.
I feel like it's okay to say at least that, because that was in the preview for chapter 2.
Oh, so. Yeah. I don't know if everyone's seen the preview, but it's very hard to not talk about chapter 2 right now.
It's
there
so
are so
hard,
many
especially
things I
as we're
say.
getting closer to it.
Yeah. But yeah, Ruby saying it doesn't matter right now. We've got to deal with this, and we'll deal with that later. Fucking Ozpin though. Fucking Ozpin and his fucking half truths.
Fucking fuck.
Fuck. Ozpin. God. Anyway, the fight scene was amazing. There's a new song in the fight scene, and Larissa and I were discussing whether it was the intro song, but just longer. But on hearing it again, it's definitely a different song. It's a completely different.
Tone is completely different.
The tone is different. Yeah. The flashback with Adam on the train, I still think that's a hallucination because Blake.
I agree.
I agree.
I brought up that theory.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Arnold.
I only brought up the theory about him potentially being there because I saw people talking about it. I think it's bollocks.
The relic is going to drive up a lot more conflict. Yeah, it certainly is. Kidnap Ruby, all the villains hate her.
One other thing I have in my notes before we get too far away. Were you also annoyed that they didn't explain why the lamp is just suddenly small?
No.
I was like, last time we saw it, Yang was like, it's the size of my head.
I know, yeah,
and now
it was
Oscar's
massive.
like,
I remember thinking,
my coin purse.
I remember thinking though in Volume 5, I was like, God, that thing is huge. It's too big. So when I saw it small in Volume 6, I was like, they must have just made it smaller for practicality's sake. I wasn't that bothered by it. I know a lot of people were bothered, and I was like, I'm not that bothered. I can see why they made it smaller, so it doesn't bother me that much. It's not the worst thing to change across volumes about RWBY.
Yeah, I know, but I was just annoyed that they didn't explain it to us. They could have just talked about how, as it gets distance from the vault, it shrinks to carrying size or something, or you hit this button on it and it gets small.
There are so many things I want to say right now.
I know, it's so hard.
We need to not do a podcast after watching the next episode again.
I know, this was
hard.
you and I had this discussion about how we didn't we had to do the podcast when we do it, because otherwise we would completely ruin it.
And it's completely difficult to talk about a previous episode when you've seen the next one, without spoiling everything. So yeah, this fight scene was incredible. There were a couple of awkward moments, but nowhere near as many as there have been in previous fights. I loved Team RWBY working together, Cory kicking butt, Oscar kicking some serious butt. I don't understand though, Ozpin's cane. How is he gonna kill a manticore with that? Like, it's just a glorified stick at the end of the day. Like, how's he gonna kill Grim with that? Good lord. Like,
I was thinking about this because with playing Amity Arena, that one of the people you get very early on is, I think his name is Nolan. He was the one with the electric riding crop.
Team Bronze, yeah.
Team Bronze.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how would you kill a Grim with, like, I mean, granted that has a little bit of electricity to it, but
how
still,
would you kill a Grim with that? Yeah. Yeah, some of the weapons of the Huntsman just confuse me. I'm like, how is this useful against Grim? Like, you know you're supposed to be fighting Grim,
hitting
right?
it over.
Just keep bashing it. And like, Oscar was whacking it, and I'm like, you're never gonna kill that manticore with that thing. It's just not gonna happen. And of course, RWBY had to help him take that one down. So, please keep the discussion in the chat on topic. Thank you, Fine Like Wine. This is a review podcast, not a Let's Play podcast. So, what was it gonna... Yeah, so this fight was really, really good. I was really impressed with it. I loved seeing Team RWBY finally properly working together, and like, Weiss ice skating across the top of the train. I'm like, yeah.
I mean, so good. I had mixed feelings about that because I thought it was cute, but I thought it was clunky as well.
It was clunky. Yes, I agree.
Because I was like, I at first I was like, she's skating along, and then when I saw it, when she did it at the beginning, I was like, oh, she just kind of slid along. Yeah. And then when it happened again, I was like, oh, she's supposed to be ice skating? I was like, that doesn't look right.
Yeah, it didn't look right at all. But I loved the shot of when they're trying to ground the Sphinx. I love the shot of her flying up in the air on her glyphs and being like, ha, bitch, you're mine. It's a great shot.
Hello.
And suddenly I am in midair.
Entertainment.
Like a glorious goddess. Bitch, you are mine. Your wings are mine. But yeah, I loved that. It had a lot of parallels to the Nevermore fight in Volume 1, and I loved that. Because that was the first time we saw them work together.
Punching her weapon.
The punching it, like, the first time I saw that, I was like, how is that weapon going around? Because I didn't notice Yang was actually punching it. And, but, like, watching it back and watching Yang just go bam, 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 to just make it go around and around, and then punching it into the top of the train, I was like, I fucking love Team Bumblebee so much.
I know.
So good. And then those guys holding it down while Weiss freezes its wings. And at first I thought the wings just snapped off, but RWBY and Crow actually shoot the wings out. And that's why in the next shot we see them reloading their weapons, because they just fired. So, I didn't hear the shots go off the first time. Reminded me a lot of the Nevermore fight and Team RWBY versus Torchwick in the mech. Yeah. It's so nice to see that callback to, like, this. I feel like this fight was done in a way that Monty would have done it. Obviously, it's not Monty's work, but still really, like, calls back to all of those original fights in the show. And it's just really stellarly animated 90% of the time. There's always going to be little things that are not quite up to scratch, but as long as they're spending the time on the stuff they need to spend the time on, then yeah,
we can forgive a little bit of sliding.
How can I forget my favorite thing? Crow and RWBY's twin scythe attack. I was like, okay, we've never seen Crow do this before. We've seen RWBY do it a bunch, but now you can see, okay, Crow taught RWBY to use her scythe. Here is teacher and protege right here, kicking fucking ass together. So
he looked
good.
So weird doing it, though.
He did look really bizarre, didn't he? I was like, this isn't right, that's RWBY's move. He's not wearing a dress. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I can have a cup of tea. Lovely, I needed one really badly. I am so tired. But yeah, the whole fight was just so really
I know, it was so good.
And then the shot after the twin scythe attack where RWBY like drags Crescent Rose across the train, jumps up and does a hero pose. I know, I was like sweating. I was like, oh my god. It looks so beautiful. I'm like, yes, RWBY. Hey, Mrs.
Of course,
L.
Miss Lante shows up as I'm making the most attractive face.
Yep. I totally saw that face. Welcome to the stream. I nearly said show. We're talking about RWBY.
It's a combat
skirt, and it was kind of an awkward shot because it was an upskirt without being an upskirt, because like they don't do upskirts obviously, but
yeah,
it was an awkward leg angle. But it's still, she's just
gorgeous.
So badass. She's just beautiful. And then obviously the train crashes, and I loved Weiss using her gravity force to keep everyone on the top. Weiss once again saving everybody's ass from a train crash. I still don't know how Oobleck survived the last one. I will always.
I had that initial instinct when I saw that, where I was like, everybody get to Weiss, and then I was like, oh no, she's just keeping everybody steady on it. But I guess that is the difference between the two shots. Is before they had to survive crashing through a wall, whereas this they just had to stay on the train.
They just had to stay on the train, exactly. Yeah.
But she's getting really good at surviving crashes. Yeah, she's like, I know what to do.
This is my third crash in 3 years. I got this. And I love the way that she's always the first one to think of like to do that sort of thing, because she like, as soon as she saw the fireball going towards the track, she was like, bam, gravity dust. Everybody's on. All right, are we good? Are we good?
Like,
yep, we're good.
Like, you could even see that Oscar had a moment of like, and then he saw that she'd already dealt with it.
Yeah, because obviously he hasn't experienced this before, so, but, like, she's just immediately onto it. She's like, I'm gonna save everyone! Weiss is such a great support character.
She truly is the team mage.
She is, absolutely. We love her. Sorry, I freaking am in love with Maria Calavera, and she has said 7 words.
I know. No, at this point she said 2 words. Still alive.
And then she said, that sure was a close one up.
Oh, right, you're right.
She literally said 2 sentences, and I'm like, I love you already.
I know.
Can't wait to see more of you. Like, I was so intrigued by her until she spoke, and I was like, I'm in love with you. Can you just be in every episode?
I know. I was wary of her because I was like, this is a lady with a skull. She could be a witch. And then she spoke, and I was like, never mind, I love you.
I feel like she's like a Yoda kind of figure, where like she's just a nutty old lady who kind of just goes with the flow, and she's just, whatever the first thing pops in her head comes out of her mouth. And I love it. I love her design. I love her voice acting. She is great. I can't wait to see more of her. She sure jumps in the middle of a lot of fights for being a mage. Yeah, she does.
I mean, she's got a sword. She can handle it.
She can handle herself, but like, she's also, as far as the team dynamic is concerned, she is the support character. How the hell did Maria get out uninjured? Well, I have a feeling there's a lot more to Maria than meets the eye. And sorry, that wasn't meant to be.
The bionic eye?
Yeah, I hate you. I hate you so much. And I want to say so many things about Maria, but it's so annoying.
I know, especially since we're at this part, I'm like, and then.
No. We'll talk about the intro now, because this is my favorite intro. I love this intro.
Mine too.
It's animated so well, it's paced so well, the scenes are perfect, the song is fantastic, it's perfect.
I have one complaint with it.
I think I know what
it ends too abruptly.
It does. Yes. It does end too abruptly.
It just kind of is like, bam! It's like, oh, that's it.
It does end very abruptly. But, the other complaint I have about it is Adam's in it, but, you know. And... oh, I can't talk about that because chapter 2. Never mind. I'm just going to talk about the intro as if I haven't seen chapter 2. Okay?
Yeah, because I have all my theories from based on the intro and only with knowledge of chapter 1.
So the flashing with Crescent Rose was awesome. RWBY's pose and her face, amazing. Then Blake and Yang and Weiss coming up the middle, and she's like smirking I was like, yes, Weiss. Oh, my ice cream.
My sister didn't like that shot, and I was like, what's wrong with you?
What is wrong with her? It's amazing.
I know, I was really like, yeah.
Yeah. And I love the way that after the, like, high energy bit at the start, it calms down into the verse. And I loved, like, the interactions with Junior and Crow and Oscar there. That was really cute. RWBY chasing Weiss through the train is the most fucking adorable thing I've ever seen, and I want to protect my babies. And
I know.
It's just so cute, because I'm like, it's such a far cry from who Weiss used to be around RWBY. She used to roll her eyes at RWBY and be like, oh, RWBY, stop being such a child. But now she's just behaving like her, and I love it. And, like, just watching them run and laugh through the train, I'm like, oh, I love you so much. And then Blake and Yang.
Cut to the broody bitches.
Cut to the broody bitches. Blake kind of, like, smiles at them and then looks really, like, sad. Like, and you can see there's so much written on her face with, like, I wish Yang and I were like that again. Like, she's very envious of RWBY and Weiss's relationship now because she's lost that with Yang. I felt like the Atom flash on the window was a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, because, like, we already know that's
I feel like
their issue.
Too quick as well. Like, it was there for such a short amount of time that I kind of went, ooh, that took me out of the moment a little bit. It didn't really need to be there.
I don't know. It served its purpose, though.
It was his bit of the intro immediately after that. So I'm like...
That's true. That part, if they were going to do that, they probably should have switched him with the villains.
I don't think that he should have flashed up on the window, because it was too quick and it was a bit unnecessary.
Or that could have just been his entire part in the thing, is to be like, hey, Ann Adams here.
Yeah. And also the hold on him was a little bit long, but it was doing the cutscene with the other villains, and I really liked that bit as well. Salem's screaming bit is a bit weird as well. Ah, I'm angry. What else is fucking new?
I know. All we've seen of Salem for this volume is just, like, screaming.
That's it. The intro is all we've seen.
Well, in the trailer as well. She was screaming in that.
Oh, yeah, she was. She was talking to Emerald in the trailer, too, I think. But, what happens after that? Oh, it's the shot with the blonde girl and the statue. Now, statue is definitely one of Ozpin's previous lives.
Easily.
Definitely. I don't know who else it could possibly be. But the blonde girl... I
have in my notes that I saw people thinking that it was Salem, who that could be, and I kind of see where they're coming from.
Dawn thought it was Salem. I thought it was the Winter Maiden, was my initial thoughts.
Oh, I didn't get that impression. I was
seen a lot of split on it.
I just thought that she was, like, some character somehow associated with Ozpin's past.
I didn't think it's...
like, maybe a past wife or something, but, like, I was just like, I don't know who you are.
I felt like it was someone we hadn't met before. And she really reminded me of Zelda, actually, which I thought was really nice. Her design, just her hair and her dress reminded me of Zelda. Gave me Zelda vibes. And the whole shot gave me Zelda vibes, like Breath of the Wild vibes. My first impression was Winter Maiden, and Dawn thought she was Salem, but I didn't think she was Salem.
I like I said, I saw people making that comparison, and I could kind of see where they were coming from, but I didn't believe it because, like, when we talk about Salem, from what we've heard of her, it sounded like she was created by the God of Darkness.
Yeah, I don't think she was ever human, really.
Exactly. So that's why I was like, I don't know. That seems weird.
I put her in the same, like, category as I put Ozpin. Like, he was never human either. He was always the wizard.
Yeah, and then the other thing, too, is like, if there's a statue of Ozpin has probably already died, but he got the ability to reincarnate to fight Salem. So, I mean, granted, having a statue doesn't mean he's dead, but I just kind of got the impression that it was a memorial.
Shit, Pitch was right. We did miss something very important. The Silver Eyes.
I was going to bring this up if we missed it.
So going through Maria's eye and then Ruby's Silver Eye. So Maria's silver-eyed. She's got to be. Why else would that be there? She's either silver-eyed or she knows something about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this theory, Just because I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, why the hell would they leave a silver-eyed warrior alive? Like, yeah.
Listen, what I've seen of Maria so far, I feel like she's a very wily old lady.
True. But then, at the same time, I'm like, if this is how they're going to get us to finally get some, like, RWBY learning to use her silver eyes and, like, silver eye training, fine. I will accept whatever bullshit they want to feed me.
The shot of Crow falling backwards and being dragged down by the Grim Hands and then cutting to those Grim Hands attacking RWBY, I got really bad vibes from those two shots because I feel like it's like Crow is being taken away and RWBY's having to step up and not take his place but like continue his legacy kind of thing. I was like, please don't tell me Crow's gonna die this volume. But I got those vibes from that intro.
I don't know. I truly have no idea how to feel about the Crow getting dragged down thing. But with the, like, RWBY fighting those things, I'm like, especially then working off the theory people have about, like, you know, her learning silver eyes, is it's like, maybe this is like an abandoned mine. And from what we've heard about stuff, like, Grandpapa Shnee used to, would fight Grimm to defend his mines. So maybe, like, that's a weird place that the Grimm are drawn towards, is, you know, this dark, cold place.
We know
so maybe they're like in an old abandoned mine, and she's like learning to use her silver eyes against these ancient monsters.
Dust mines all over Mantle, so it could be a dust mine. And also, Dawn, I think it was Dawn that brought up an interesting parallel with, like, Lord of the Rings, where when the dwarves delved really deep, they unleashed the Balrog. So this Grim monster, or several monsters, or whatever it is, could have been dug up from them digging too deep for dust. Which would be interesting. But I don't know necessarily if that bit in the intro is a specific place, or if it's symbolic. But...
I don't know. I just feel like it.
There was. I will say there was.
They rarely do symbolic things in the intros.
Some concept art in the credits of Chapter 2 that looked like that place. So I'm going to say it's an actual place.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I think it's from the first shot.
It looked too big to be that.
I agree. There was some weirdness there, so but I still think that's what it probably was.
I don't know. Let's go with maybe.
Let's get away from here.
Let's get away from Chapter 2 quickly. Supposedly those are called imps, according to Miles on the Nuck monster. Well, they haven't actually confirmed anything about the monster shown in the intro.
Well, he's saying that the Nuckelavee was part horse, part imp.
Yeah. But the Nuckelavee is actually a mythical creature itself.
Yeah.
So it's like a man on a horse. But they made it a bit more like impish like. But the arms are definitely remind me of the Nuckelavee.
It's clear she's fighting Cthulhu. It's fine.
Essentially. Well, again, when Dawn drew that parallel with Lord of the Rings, all I could think of was the massive tentacle monster that's in the lake outside of Moria. I was like, now it's reminding me of that thing. But anyway, tentacle monster. Oh god.
Is Miss Lante still here? I knew it. Right in the face.
Yes! As soon as you say the words tentacle monster, out she comes from the woodwork. Yeah, anywho, let's get on with the intro. Woo, where were we up to? Your ears pricked up. Of course they did. Where were we up to?
The next thing is the hooded figure walking through the streets.
Right, the hooded figure, who we see twice in the intro. Now, my initial thoughts were, this first time we see them, I think it's Neo. But the second time is definitely Cinder.
To be fair, I completely, on my first view through, did not see Torchwick's hat.
Yes, but you missed it completely, and I don't know how, because it was all I saw in that scene. As soon as I saw that hat, I didn't care about the figure anymore.
But I still think that it was... I still always thought it was Cinder, because it's like, well, we saw from the Volume 6 poster that she's probably alive, and she has a wounded arm, and it's the correct arm for her Grim one, and I don't know, it's just... I always got the impression that it was Cinder, especially based on the second scene where we see her fighting.
Yeah, well, my initial thoughts were maybe it's they're just trying to throw us off with this hooded figure thing. It could be Neo, it could be Cinder, but the second shot was definitely Cinder, and she was definitely wielding a forged sword, not like a flame sword, which she normally summons. And people said they saw an umbrella in one frame of the intro. I
searched and searched and searched, and I finally found it. I finally caught a frame of that umbrella.
Screenshot on the Discord, please.
I have the screenshot. I have the screenshot now. I'll get working on that.
So yeah, that was my initial thoughts about it. But there is definitely going to be Neo return this volume, and I'm very excited. Because why the fuck else would they put Torchwick's hat in the intro? It's not him. He's dead. He's very, very, very dead. And if they brought him back, it wouldn't make any sense. He was already around for 2 volumes more than he was supposed to be anyway. Because everybody loved him. And while I do miss him a lot, I'm very excited by the prospect of Neo coming back. I actually went back and rewatched No Breaks because I was so excited about Neo coming back. I was like, yes, I need more Neo in my life. I miss her. She was so intriguing. You thought it was Cinder both times, yeah. Wrong place, wrong time. Yeah, so that was my initial thoughts about that bit. What's after that initial hooded figure bit? I can't remember.
Well, that then came the woman at the statue.
Right.
Oh, another thing
and then
we need
Ozpin's
to talk about.
Past lives.
Yeah. Ozpin's past lives.
So the very first one looks like it could have been the King of Vale. I'm gonna go with probably the King of Vale. I wouldn't be surprised if he was Ozpin.
I had the same ideas, but the thing is now it's not necessarily chronologically. Also, by the way, I did get the screenshot up.
It wouldn't be chronological, no.
I got that impression too, but then I was like, but it's only been 80 years since the Great War, and based on the little bit we know of the timeline, Ozpin was the immediate descendant of the King of Vale. He was the next iteration, because there just wouldn't be enough time for 2 more iterations between there.
The thing is, though, we don't know how Ozpin's reincarnation works exactly. Like, does his host live forever until they're killed, is the question? Because if that's the case, Oz could have been a lot older than we thought he was. Because he appeared to be, like, maybe 50 at the most. At the most. Like, and that would be stretching it. But, I guess we'll learn more about it as we go, but I'm of the mind that, like, it wouldn't be practical for Ozpin to, like, have to be forced to reincarnate every 80 or so years because his host died of old age.
I don't know.
I don't know if, like, maybe once Ozpin inhabits somebody,
But do you think that, like, it wouldn't even serve a purpose, though, if, like, if they lived to be 80 years old, like, their body would start to get decrepit and stuff, and it wouldn't be of use to him anymore. Plus, also, I really doubt that with his... Well, that's why
I'm saying, like, it could be the fact that once he inhabits them, they're immortal, essentially, until they are killed. Mm. Yeah. Oh, there it is. I see the umbrella and the Yang prosthetics. What the...
Yeah.
It is an arm, but it doesn't look like Yang's arm.
It's not Yang's arm, but it's a prosthetic.
It's not hers. It looks completely different, but it is a prosthetic limb. You're correct. Or it could be a glove.
Yeah, Larissa's like, you guys are still going? We have a lot to discuss. We're almost done, though.
Yeah, we're still going. We're almost done. We're talking about the intro. Where are we? Yeah, Ozpin's past lives. I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of Ozpin flashback, learning a lot about him this volume. Keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. I have a feeling we're going to get a lot about that this volume, and we're finally going to learn a lot about him.
And also, one thing I was really vindicated about, and I'm sure you were as well, the guy immediately after the King of Vale in the lineup was totally the person everyone was calling the Winter Maiden, but you and I were both like, no, that's definitely a man.
Yeah. Everyone was calling it the Winter Maiden, but I was like, I can see feet and I can tell that's a dude. Like, it's a man, for goodness sake. And yeah, now I do think that is a previous Ozpin. Initially I was like, meh, I don't know if Ozpin was really that kind of person.
Exactly. Was he ever that show-offy? But then again, it's like, well, if they're showing us, like, Ozpin 2.0, like, literally the second Ozpin, maybe they would do that.
Yeah.
I know, Pishin, I know.
What?
We're almost done.
I know. Listen, we won't have... This is the only week we'll have to hold our tongues about next chapters. I'm sorry. We'll get to talk about Chapter 2 on Saturday. It's not that far away. So what was after the Ozpin bit? I don't remember.
Then I think... wasn't then the next scene
Oscar.
Cinder 2?
No, it was Jean
slamming Jean and Oscar
against the wall, but that was Ozpin, not Oscar. I don't see why he would be mad at Oscar, but he would definitely be mad at Ozpin. Because Jean does not like Ozpin very much right now. He gave off those vibes all the way through Volume 5 that he was not pleased with him at all. Obviously, because Jean holds him responsible for Pyrrha's death. Rightly so.
Rightly so. It's, oh god. I'm honestly a little bit happy that Jean... Never mind. I realized I was about to say something spoilery.
Shush! Stop it. I agree, because I know you were going to say it, and I agree. I know it's so hard. Let's just keep talking about the intro quickly. What was after that bit?
I don't remember. I only took it down the notes for the intro. There were things I wanted to talk about.
The fighting on top of the train. And that animation was so slick. I loved it. So beautiful. I know. The transitions from Yang to Blake to Weiss to Ruby running through and them all jumping around and Weiss spinning and glyphs, and it was so beautiful. It was perfect. It was immaculate. Yeah. I loved it.
I know a lot of people didn't like when they did that in the Volume 2 intro. Where they really?
Didn't they? I loved it.
I loved it too, and I love it now because I'm like, yes, it's so good. This is like the Volume 2 intro, but better.
It was just exactly, and that's why it's now my favorite intro, because it gives me Volume 2 intro vibes, and I was like, nothing can ever beat Volume 2's intro. It was so good, and then this one came along. Volume 2 was just a good volume in general, despite all of the animation problems, and there were a lot of those. But it was just animated so perfectly. There was nothing I could fault. It was just so perfect. And then leading into the shot at the end of Weiss lifting Ruby up, and I was like, and everybody standing in the background in their various positions, and I was like analyzing where everyone's positioned. I was like, what does this mean? What does Weiss is lifting Ruby up? What does this mean? And like we're obviously going to get a lot of Weiss and Ruby being a very cohesive unit this volume as well, because it's in the intro like a couple of times, so I'm like, they're going to be very important as a partnership. Yes, Renora for life. Yeah, Ren and Nora hugging in the beginning. We didn't talk about that. Nora has her arms around Ren at the start of the intro, and I'm like, yes, these subtle little Renora hints, I live for these. And I just really want more Renora. I want them to be disgusting and lovey-dovey, but we just don't get any room for it. It's so annoying.
Bailey was asking me, she's like, is Renora canon? And I was like, yeah, totally. And I was like, I mean, they held hands. Like, the only other confirmation of a relationship we've seen in this show was a kiss, and that was tragic.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that right now. Let's talk about happy Renora things.
I'm like, but they held hands. That has to be like confirmation of canon, basically.
And Arcos are the only canon ships currently, and Arcos obviously sank. So, yeah, Renora is definitely canon, and it's these small little things that they put in the background that show us that their relationship has shifted now. Whereas before, all they would talk about is how they're not actually together. But now it's like,
we're together, but not together.
We're together, but not together, because we're together, but we haven't actually kissed or anything. You know, we're together.
There was that one time. We're
together, but there's no room in the script for us. And it annoys me, and I want more Renora, definitely.
I know.
Yeah. The kisses also held hands too, so yeah, they did. Maybe we'll get there. Hopefully this volume, probably not.
There's something I want to ask you, but it does kind of rely on knowledge from episode 2, so I'll save it.
It's so annoying. All right, let's stop talking about the episode now before we reveal things.
Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to talk about, and it was from the trailer.
Oh.
And I mostly just want this on record, but I saw people talking about that shot where the hooded person is talking to the purple lady. People were calling her an allusion to Little Miss Muffet.
Yeah, she is Little Miss Muffet.
She's Little Miss Muffet. Because that definitely looked like she was eating curds and whey, and she's got the spider tattoo.
I won't say anything more about her, but I do know that she is in the RWBY board game, Combat Ready board game. And
is she?
Yeah, that was how people learned about her, because the board game was shipped out last week, before Chapter 2 premiered.
Mine gets here on Saturday.
Okay, you haven't got yours yet. Yeah, it was all over. Reddit. She is one of the characters, the cards in the board game, and that's how people knew who she was ahead of time. Because that came out. Those were shipped out last week before Chapter 2 was out.
So wait,
she's in the trailer, Pink Spider.
Did they know her name?
Yes, but I didn't learn her name, because once I heard that it was Little Miss Muffet, I was like, don't tell me anything else beyond that. I don't want to know.
Okay.
But I didn't know her name at that point. No. Yeah, the new villain for the board game. Yeah, essentially. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that pretty much covers everything, and we should get to question time, I think.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
Question time. Hang on, let me turn the thingy on real quick.
We were trying not to talk about that. Although I guess if it's in the board game, it's fine.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn on the question redemption. So if you want to go to the Streamlabs menu in the bottom right-hand corner of the stream, you can go to rewards and you can ask a question through there. If it's not there, just refresh and it should pop up.
It is not there for me, but I do not want to refresh.
Yeah, if it's not there for you, just refresh and it should pop up. So if anybody wants to ask questions, they will pop up on the stream and we can read them out. So... I
don't know. You and I covered this really extensively.
We did cover it quite extensively, but people might still have questions.
I'm trying to think of
Let me just check that it's there.
Anything that was addressed in the RWBY Rewind that we'd want to talk about.
I have my notes here for the Rewind. Miles
because I watched that this
checking
morning.
Off fan complaints. Oh, the people who went to the theatre premiere of Chapter 1 didn't get to see the intro, which I thought was interesting, because, and I understand why, because it would have been a lot of spoilers. Yeah, guys, if you refresh, it will be there now. Boopcast question at the bottom of the Redeem Noob Points menu. No questions from you? That's fine. And remember to keep the questions Chapter 1 or intro or trailer related. Sphinx Grim, Adam needs to die. Nope, we covered all of this. Although, they had Barbara Dunkelman on the RWBY Rewind, and they talked about, how amazing it would be to have a RWBY shoe line, women's shoe line, and Barbara's face, she was like, like, I would buy those in an instant, and I was like, I've seen how expensive the pajamas are, so no thank you.
I don't. I'd buy their shoes.
I mean, if I had the
especially
money,
Weiss's. True. I don't.
Oh, I forgot to put the thingy in the thing. There we go.
I was wondering. I was like, isn't that a command I have to use? Like, if people ask a question and then like tell them wait for later. You didn't explain to me what these commands did.
Sorry, we're a bit rushed.
We're so unorganized today, but that's fine.
Yes, I want RWBY shoes. It would be awesome if they would sell like the actual costume shoes, but I can just imagine how expensive they would be.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, Weiss's would probably be the least expensive because it's the least material. But like, Blake's would be so expensive.
I'm sure they would do men's boots as well.
Yeah, but that's the other thing, though, is like the men's shoes in the show are kind of boring.
They kind of are. I would love
like,
Nora's boots.
Pro just wears dress shoes.
I would want Nora's boots.
John wears sneakers.
And RWBY's boots, and I would just wear them. just normally. I want Weiss's boots from Volume 2. Her long white boots. They're awesome. But I'm still pissed off that they haven't done women's swimwear. Like, they did men's swimwear. Where the fuck are the Yang bikinis? I want one.
I don't know. I thought about buying the men's swimsuit, but I was just like, eh. It just, I don't know, maybe I'm just not into board shorts.
If there are no questions, then we're just going to wrap up the podcast.
Yeah, I don't think we're probably going to get questions.
I think we covered it pretty extensively, yeah.
We covered it so extensively. And anything we missed, people just jumped in and asked us. So... Oh, should we make any predictions? Or should we save that for next episode since we already know?
We already know what happens, so I feel like if we make predictions, it could be very dangerous.
Yeah, true.
Mrs. L, through the Streamlabs menu in the Redemptions. Tell me more.
Tentacles.
Oh my gosh. Ren's weird sandal boots. Alrighty, no questions. We're gonna wrap up then.
Yeah, I think we're good. We've been going for how long now?
2.5 hours.
Oh, God.
Almost on the nose.
That's
2.5 hours.
That's so embarrassing.
We will try to keep it to 2 hours for the next one. To be fair, we did have the intro on the trailer and everything to talk about. It's very hard to talk about a chapter when you've seen the next one.
That too.
Let's not do that again. But yeah, thank you guys for watching the Boopcast. If you're watching this on YouTube currently, this is live streamed, or will be live streamed now, every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. Australian Central Daylight Time. For many of you, that will be a Friday night, if you're on the other hemisphere.
Friday between, 2 and 5.
About that, yeah. So if you want to catch these live, make sure to follow my Twitch. The links will all be in the description for everything. You can watch Chapter 1 for free right now on RWBY.com. The link will be in the description. It is exactly the same as watching it on YouTube. You do not need an account even to watch them for free once they are out for the public. So go do that. Support the show. And yeah. That's basically it from us. We will see you next week. I haven't done the new credits yet, so you're going to get the old crappy credits right now.
We just didn't have time.
I just didn't have time, I'm sorry.
So rushed.
Yeah, so we will see you on Saturday for the Chapter 2 Boopcast, and these will be every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. Australian Central Daylight Time. There will be one in the off week as well. Like we said, we'll probably talk about Chapter 14 of last volume. And, yeah, we will see you. This will be up on YouTube tomorrow, and then we'll see you on Sunday for reactions and Boopcasts. Or Saturday for Boopcasts. Time zones! Goodbye!
They're so fucked.
Bye!